first on the firing of the CDC director. First, just who will replace her, and then also overnight the White House said that she did not align with the president's agenda. Dr. Menard's attorney said that she refused to rubber stamp unscientific reckless directives and follow dedicated health experts. What specifically did she do?
Look, what I will say about this individual is that her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she wouldn't, so the president fired her, which he has every right to do. It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission. A new replacement will be announced by either the president or the secretary very soon, and the president and Secretary Kennedy are committed to restoring trust and transparency and credibility to the CDC by ensuring their leadership and their decisions are more public-facing, more accountable, strengthening our public health system, and restoring it to its core mission of protecting Americans from communicable diseases, investing in innovation to prevent, detect, and respond to future threats. That's the mission of the CDC, and we're going to make sure that folks that are in positions of leadership there are aligned with that mission.
Briefly on another topic, ralphdawise. Last week, a judge on an environmental concerns lawsuit said that the administration has 60 days to wind down operations at state officials. But the administration has not been shy in fighting back against what it calls activist judges. But why is it backing down this time?
We're not backing down. We've always said that we are going to continue to fight in the court of law for what's right, because we know that what this administration is doing with respect to all policy, but also immigration policy, is above the books, and we're abiding by our nation's immigration laws. And we think it's despicable that an activist judge has inserted themselves in this migrant detention facility to the point where DHS is now having to relocate these illegal immigrants to other detention facilities around the country. That is an unnecessary burden on the Department of Homeland Security and these agents who should be removing these criminals from our community. That's what the American people elected this president to do. So we've always maintained, Gabe, we're going to comply with court orders, but we're also going to fight back on them on the merits of the law. And DHS is in compliance while we disagree with this decision, and we'll continue to fight it in court. Let's go to...
Hey, go ahead. Thanks so much. So just following up on the CDC firing, are you anticipating other changes there at CDC in addition to that firing? And is the administration going through in a very sort of organized fashion? Is there a task force that's going through high-level appointees to see who is or isn't aligned with the mission? I should expect more changes.
Not to my knowledge. I understand there were a few other individuals who resigned after the firing of Ms. Monterez. One of those individuals wrote in his departure statement that he identifies pregnant women as pregnant people. So that's not someone who we want in this administration anyway. So if people are not aligned with the president's vision and the secretary's vision to make our country healthy again, then we will gladly show them the door.
Caroline, can I just
go to the back?
Thank you, Caroline.
Behind you, Andrew. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. The military deployment that President Trump has sent to the Caribbean Sea close to the shores with Venezuela is massive. It's much more that is needed to simply counter-narcotics operations. Is President Trump considering launching military strikes to military installments or facilities in Venezuelan soil?
I won't get ahead of the president with respect to any military action or questions about that ever. But what I will tell you is that many Caribbean nations and many nations in the region have applauded the administration's counter-drug operations and efforts, and the president is prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. And as I've said from this podium before, the Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. Maduro is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this drug cartel. He has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into our country, and it is the utmost responsibility of this president and this administration to prevent the illicit flow of drugs into our country and to protect citizens from those deadly poisons. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you. Democrats, including former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, attacked prayer and pushed gun control in the aftermath of yesterday's shooting. What's the White House's response to their comments?
Yes, I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to.
Y'all hit that
the
like
tens of
button and
millions
hit
of
that
Americans
sub
of
button.
faith
We trying to get the
across this
10K
country
likes,
who
I mean 10K subs today.
who believe that prayer
Hit that
works,
sub
and who
button.
believe
Let's
that
get the
in a time
10K
of
subs
mourning
today.
like this,
I
where
think we can
beautiful
do
young
it.
children were killed while praying
I think
in
we
a
can
church.
do it.
It's utterly
Y'all help me get there.
disrespectful to derive the power of prayer in this country, and it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves, who need it right now more than ever.
My second question for you is that there have been media outlets who glazed over the fact that the shooter was
Trying to get at least,
engaged in
I'm trying to get at least to
legitimate
50K by the end of the week, by the end of next week. From Thursday to Sunday. Let's see how many we can get from Thursday to Sunday.
Part of the reason the FBI director came out and immediately
Help me get there,
confirmed that
guys.
facet of the investigation.
Help me get there.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions on two separate issues. First of all, the drone and missile strikes that took place overnight in Ukraine. General Keith Kellogg, the president's special envoy, has described these attacks as egregious. Do you agree with that description?
Yes, she is boring. You're right.
As an impediment
But we're not boring over here at the Atlas Network, so make sure you help the Atlas Network get there.
And I know what the president thinks because I talked to him about this. He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised. These are two countries that have been at war for a very long time. Russia launched this attack on Kyiv, and likewise, Ukraine recently dealt a blow to Russia's oil refineries. They have taken out, as a matter of fact, 20% of Russia's oil refinery capacity over the course of their attacks throughout the month of August. So the president is continuing to watch this intently, and this killing, unfortunately, will continue as long as the war continues, which is why the president wants it to end. And that's why he's worked harder than anyone to end this war, which would have never started if he were president, but perhaps both sides of this war are not ready to end it themselves. The president wants it to end, but the leaders of these two countries need it to end and want it to end, must want it to end as well. And I think the president will make some additional statements on this later.
My second question has to do with, I just had one more, if I may. It has to do with the president's intention to remove Lisa Cook as a member of the Federal Reserve Board. He is going, or acting upon allegations that have been made by Trump administration official Bill Pulte. These are just allegations. She hasn't been convicted yet of any crime. Is the administration opposed to allowing Ms. Cook to have due process to challenge what has been alleged against her?
I believe she is challenging it. I believe she just filed a lawsuit today, and Mr. Pulte has deferred those allegations over to the Department of Justice to investigate them. What I will say is that you had these mortgage receipts very clearly shown to the president, and he has the cause that he needs to fire this individual. He laid it out in the letter that he provided to her and to the public as well. And so we'll continue to fight this battle. Carrie.
Hi, Caroline. So the president just announced that he wants to have a convention right before the midterms next year. The DNC has countered that they too want to have a convention right before the midterms as well. What's the White House's response to that? And can you give us just a little bit of a hint or a tease here as to how the president envisions convention in the
Look, the president put out a statement on this earlier today. I'll let him speak further on the plans that he envisions, but I think he's very proud of the accomplishments and the achievements of his administration, as he should be. The most secure border in United States history, a crackdown on crime here in our nation's capital, an attack or a reversal of the attack on our energy industry from the previous administration. As I just pointed out to you, gas prices today, this Labor Day, are the lowest they've been since Labor Day today in 2020. Our economy is bringing in trillions of dollars in revenue from all over the world again. So there's so much for Republicans and for the president and for Americans across the country to be proud of, and I think the president wants to see that celebrated. But for any further details on this as they come, we'll provide you with them. Iris.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions on the shooting. What's the administration's message to some concerned parents across the country who might be now worried about their kids' safety in light of the latest incident?
We completely and totally understand the concerns of parents across the country. This tragedy it's heartbreaking. As a parent myself, there are no words to describe just the heartbreak that these families must be enduring, which is why the president and the first lady have encouraged everyone to continue to pray for these families and these victims. And it's why this administration is focused on removing public safety threats from our communities. And in fact, I can share with all of you that last night in Washington, D.C., when arrests were being made, there was an arrest of a juvenile right here in D.C. in Ward 7 for threats to kidnap and injure, receiving stolen property, possession of a large capacity feeding device, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. A search warrant was executed, 7 firearms were recovered, and the juvenile was arrested after an investigation was initiated based on social media posts allegedly threatening violence towards a school. So this was a juvenile who was a risk to not just himself, but the community here in Washington, and he was removed from the community last night because of the law enforcement efforts of this administration. And I would also point to the statement of our wonderful First Lady that she released yesterday. She wrote, "The tragic mass killing in Minnesota illuminates the need for preemptive intervention in identifying school shooters. Early warning signs are often evident, with many individuals exhibiting concerning behaviors and making violent threats online prior to their actions. We encourage all Americans, as the old saying goes, if you see something, say something. If you see warning signs or threats, report it to law enforcement." This administration, federal law enforcement, will take those reports and those threats seriously. They will be treated as a law enforcement emergency, and we will act accordingly.
And on the First Lady's statement, would the administration consider ramping up resources on these funds to parents and schools across the country to help them look into these signs and prevent more tragedies?
It's a very fair question, Iris. As for any potential future policy decisions or funding questions, it's just been over 24 hours since this tragedy occurred. Right now, we're focused on the FBI and their investigation and covering all the facts, and we'll leave those very important policy discussions to another day.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Megan, I had a question about the lawsuit that you mentioned. Does the president plan to wait until that lawsuit is resolved to appoint her replacement?
I will leave that to the president to make that decision and that announcement himself. Brian?
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. Bouncing off the CDC, so the situation at CDC, I'm curious if administration officials are pushing back on the president's agenda, privately, publicly, however, should they fear to lose their jobs going forward?
Look, I think if you're doing your job well, and if you are executing on the vision and the promises that the president made to the public who elected him back to this office, then you should have no fear about your job. Just do your job. That's what this president wants to see. He wants to see people solving problems. He wants to see the people who have the privilege of serving the American taxpayer and the federal government abiding by the wishes of the American taxpayers who overwhelmingly reelected him in this cabinet to make America great again, or in this case, make America healthy again.
On the Intel deal, where the U.S. got a stake in that company, there's two things I want to ask about that. The first is, what did the U.S. get back in return for that deal? And the second thing is, what are the future plans for giving any form of money to another company? It could be through the CHIPS Act, like this deal, or some other form of funds. What are the plans there by this White House administration?
Well, look, as you know, Brian, very well, because you cover it often, the Intel deal is still being ironed out by the Department of Commerce. The T's are still being crossed, the I's are still being dotted. It's very much still under discussion. But the president's thinking, I can share with you, is certainly to ensure that the United States government is making our country wealthy again and is benefiting from some of these deals. And it's a creative solution. I know it's outside the box thinking, which is uncommon in this city, but it's something that he proposed and something that the Secretary of Commerce is working on putting into action. Mary?
Thanks, Caroline. I have a couple of
questions on the shooting yesterday. The first one, this is the second shooting involving a trans-identifying shooter who specifically targeted Christians and Catholic kids. What kind of consequences do the gender-affirming therapists, doctors, or even the parents of these shooters face after these types of shootings?
Well, as for the parents and potential therapists in this case, again, all of that is still currently being investigated by the FBI. I know the Secretary of Health and Human Services this morning said that HHS is investigating perhaps links between some of these drugs and these prescription drugs that some of these minors may be taking and an increase in violence. And obviously we have mental health problems in this country that this administration and Secretary Kennedy
this
will
time.
continue to
Hey,
speak
let's
on
find a
and
different
the
one.
work that
See,
we're doing to solve
let's
it.
see if Trump talking. Y'all hit the button and share it live. Let's see. We was finishing this one up.
Sorry about that, Mr. President. Like Secretary Noam, I'm thrilled to be here to work with you on the simple platform you were elected on, which was to bring back the American dream, to bring jobs and opportunity for families across the country and to lower their costs so they can live their lives and expand the choices they have. You led off today talking about gasoline prices. I'll throw in diesel. You correct for inflation, they're at multi-decade lows. This is a huge expense. This is a huge constraint on people's lives. We should celebrate that. Natural gas has become our main industrial fuel powering factories around the country. Natural gas prices are quite low in this country, and they're lower than in any country in the world. The reason for that is the United States produces 2 times more natural gas than the second largest natural gas producer in the world, and 4 times more natural gas than the number 3 and number 4 producers in the world. So you've opened up American opportunity and energy together with the work of Secretary Burgum, Administrator Zeldin, Secretary Lutnick, Secretary Rawlins. You know, we've made it easy to produce energy in America again, and those benefits are flowing. I could go on about this stuff forever, but let me talk about one specific area of energy, electricity. That's in the front of people's minds. When the day
If you sub to the page and hit the like button, I tell you.
We get all the data. We can look at the resource plans of utilities across the country. What you inherited when you arrived was a plan over the next 5 years to close 100 gigawatts of reliable electric generation. So that's 100 large power plants. Now that was offset with a plan to build 22 gigawatts of reliable electricity generation. Their plan was to close more than 4 times as much electricity generating capacity as they were going to build in that 5-year period. How do we lead the world in artificial intelligence if we're shrinking our supply of reliable electricity? How do we reshore steel and aluminum and automobiles and semiconductors and all those jobs Americans want back in our country when we're degrading and shrinking our energy system? We were going to hand that leadership to China in artificial intelligence, not just to our economic loss, but to our huge national security loss. Your team around this table, and almost everyone around this table is involved in it, is just to completely pivot dramatically. We're stopping the closure of all these plants way before their retirement date. Some plants get to their end of life. That's a small percent of the planned closures. Most of those were just political nonsense at the cost to American taxpayers. So we have rapid new construction of power plants under in the United States. We're doing everything we can with suppliers who build the equipment for these power plants. They've got to build their factories bigger to build power plants in America. People thought those days were past. We weren't going to build big things in America anymore. We're just going to keep sending it over to Asia and overseas and just buy other people's stuff. Totally nuts economically, totally nuts for national security, and of course crushing for working Americans, particularly Americans that work with their hands. But we are seeing a revitalization of those people, of that optimism. You showed that picture of that plant being built in Arkansas, dozens of those under construction, just in artificial intelligence. But the reshoring of steel, of aluminum, of plastics, of fertilizer, semiconductors, Like, this, America's the land of opportunity. How did we get to become this awesome nation? Because we believed in the American dream and we leaned in on it. But the wealthy in our country and the coastal elites that live away from where stuff's actually made, they just lost their way, and politicians just let them have it. Your tireless campaign and your relentless messaging made people realize the American dream isn't dead. It's just been smothered, and we're unsmothering it and setting it loose. God bless your efforts. God bless your assembly of this team around this table. We're bringing the American dream back.
Mr. President, everybody here who spoke works at the Department of Labor, clearly, which I love. They have all the correct talking points, but I think that's a testament again that we are all working together every single day. We talk to each other often, and the workforce, the skilled workforce, the education factor, retirees, it's been so important because they all touch the Department of Labor, and I have the opportunity to work with every single one. If you all haven't, stop by the Department of Labor.
Y'all make sure y'all sub to the page. Sub to the page.
On a banner.
I'm trying to get to 10K subs in one day. Y'all think we could do it? One's in the chat. Y'all think we can get to 10K subs in one day? Hit that sub button.
Together, and I was so honored to unveil that yesterday, and everybody is taking note of that. You also mentioned crime, and I think it's been important for my colleagues to recognize that now American workers can return to work and feel safe. That business owners aren't shutting down their businesses because they're afraid they can't protect their workers, and now it's open for business again, and it's starting right here in our nation's capital. Many things have been mentioned about consumer confidence. Unemployment is holding steady, and more than 2 million net jobs for native-born Americans has been key. Under your leadership, 84% of the workforce and jobs has been produced by the private sector. I think that was the mission of this administration and the Department of Labor. And I will continue to say for a little bit longer until I heard you today, the one big beautiful bill, because it equals one big beautiful workforce. And Congress passed this legislation. It probably will be the single most important bill that they did sign, because it is protecting our American workforce by expanding Pell Grants and childcare and reduction in taxes. They can keep more of their hard-earned dollars. I am at the Department of Labor announcing $30 million in grants for our skilled workforce, that I have an MOU with Secretary McMahon. I have an MOU with Administrator Leffler. That's important to share the data points on how important this is. In June, we awarded nearly $84 million in grants for the capacity of what? Registered apprenticeships.
This is a watch, listen, and chat
1 million
party.
active apprentices across this nation, where we've already registered.
Watch, listen, and chat party.
185,000
We're trying to get to
since
10K subs.
One of the other things
Only
that
you
we
can
have
help me
done
get there.
is the Biden
By subbing to the page.
guidance on cryptocurrency.
We're gonna need everybody that
Thanks to
come
your
through.
leadership on that, we rolled that back. And of course, we're
After
gonna
you
see
sub,
the
type
401k,
sub.
the investors in
All we
our
should see in the
alternative
comment
assets.
section
That's
is
the
sub,
Department of
sub,
Labor to
sub,
work
sub.
through.
Everybody that's coming in,
Partnering
sub,
with our
sub, sub.
agencies, again, as I mentioned,
Copy the
before, it's
link.
important as we work together. I have.
I believe in y'all.
I'll be 31
I believe in
states
y'all.
on my 50-state tour by the
Let's
end
make
of
this
month.
platform
I'm
great so we can
headed,
hold
with,
great conversation
Secretary
over here.
Duffy, with the South Korean president.
If we make this
today,
platform
as we
great,
move through
the conversation
shipbuilding,
will be great.
we will
I
do that
promise
in
you it
Philly,
will.
and then I'm off to New England
All you
to
gotta
talk
do
to
is
those
make the
states
platform
about
great.
How important the apprenticeship program
We got
is.
until
But while I
like
visited
end of
also
September.
in, Salt Lake City, 100% domestic carbon fiber for the Department of
In
Defense. as they
September, we'll
produce.
go
They are
back for
announcing
monetization and we'll be
$1
great.
billion investment
Okay,
per
so we
your
got
executive
until
order on
September to build a
advanced
great platform. Let's
So
go.
it is working.
Lock
Everything
in
that
with
you have
me.
been saying since you were elected.
Please and thank
since we all can put into play has been working. Ohio, McDonald's is investing 375,000 new jobs. The shrimpers, I visited as well, and they need our help in protecting that industry for our American fishermen and shrimpers. In Minnesota, I toured Cambria. When we're talking about quartz countertops, all made in America. And again, in Oregon, where we are expecting a crackdown. Thank you for what you are doing with your agents on ICE, and thank you for the prosecution that I hope you will come to Portland, Oregon and crack down. But while there are still good people, I was able to visit Buckeye Pacific, really a trading floor for the timber industry. So we still want to focus on great, hardworking American businesses. Mr. President, I couldn't be more excited to ring in Labor Day in Erie, Pennsylvania for the Labor Day Parade. I will be there to welcome it. It is an honor to serve this country. It is an honor to serve under your administration as the Labor Secretary, and we will kick off, and Republicans will own Labor Day again, not Democrats. We will own it because we are, and you are the president of the American worker. So thank you for everything that you've done. Absolutely.
You're doing a fantastic job, and I will tell you that Lori was recommended by the Teamsters. That doesn't really work, does it? And it turned out to be one of our best choices, so I just want to thank you and Sean,
Thank you.
who, as you know, recommended you very strongly. It really turned out to be a gem.
I was able to talk to the president on the phone the other day. He called and we visited, and he said, but I know that you were, a little bit middle of the road and not so sure. I said, Mr. President, I have been a Republican. He's like, what? Wait, what? Now I like you even more. I said, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. Thank you.
President, I'm working with everyone around this table almost daily on legal issues that we're winning on. But today, because it's Labor Day, President Trump, if I could focus on public safety, not only domestic, but from our foreign adversaries. And Secretary McMahon, I know you know.
It's
kids
crazy,
have
right? They want to own, Republicans want to own the holiday.
You know,
Crazy
our
work.
highways are going to be packed with travelers
Crazy
coming
work.
to not only our nation's capital, but all over this country. We're also going to have boaters. Secretary
Tap the
Duffy,
screen,
right
share the
on
live.
our waterways.
Hit
It
that
is illegal to
copy.
be under the influence
Copy the link.
on a boat.
Copy the link, everybody.
To
Copy
be
the
a
link.
designated boater, if you're out on our waterways, whether it's the Potomac or the Gulf of America or the Pacific, wherever you're out this weekend, people need to be safe. And on an international level, Secretary Rubio, thank you for all your help on everything we're doing, not everyone around this room. But yesterday, there was a big, big win. El Mayo pled guilty, and he was the co-founder of Sinaloa cartel with El Chapo. And there's even a Narcos Netflix series about these guys. Well, now we know the ending. He's gonna die in an American prison. They are one of the worst, El Chapo and El Mayo, some of the worst narco traffickers in our world. And he will spend life in prison now. And that's so important because those guys and others throughout this country, throughout this world, have brought into our country drugs, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, methamphetamines. It's killing our kids. And we have to stop that. And that's what you've been doing, not only in DC, but around the country at your leadership. And over the weekend, parents need to know, with kids out of school, with people out on our highways and on our waters, do not take a pill from anyone you know, don't know. Do not buy anything on the street. It could be laced with something toxic. We've seen so many fentanyl overdoses. And when you were here in DC, we showed you pictures of some of the drugs that had been seized right here in DC. President, they were packaged for children. And people are dying from these around our country. So thank you, President Trump, for your leadership and for letting Americans know that it's now a safe place to go. But parents also have to know, college kids have to know, to be vigilant and not take this trash. Because you could be thinking you're taking a Xanax, an Adderall, anything, and it could be laced with something very lethal. So thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Fantastic this last 12 days in DC. Good job, you and your whole group has done this.
All of us.
Everyone's talking about it all over the world. I hate to talk about that, but we have to. It's becoming a very safe place again. And the work, I've seen how hard you work the last, well, from the beginning in all fairness, but this focus on DC is so important for the country. So great job. And to everybody.
And President, it's a team around. We're all working hand in hand, side by side, all of our agencies together to make America safe and DC safe. And Iris, congratulations on your baby. And I'm so glad that you're safe now.
Thank you very much. Mr. VP, would you like to say something?
Yes, sir. I'll be brief, but I want to congratulate you and the entire team on all the things that have been accomplished. You'll hear about a lot of it. You've already heard some of it, but I thought it'd be helpful, Mr. President, just to take stock, not just of what we've accomplished, what we will accomplish, but of the mess that we inherited, because I think it makes this first Labor Day a bigger and more special occasion. You heard, I think, Christie talk about this, that all of the net job growth under the Biden administration had gone to the foreign-born. Now that net job growth is going to American citizens who deserve opportunity in their own country. That's a great accomplishment. You'll hear, I'm sure, Scott talk about the success with tariffs. People forget that we inherited the largest peacetime deficit in the history of the United States of America. And now, because the president is not letting foreign countries take advantage of us, we're collecting hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars over 10 years in tariffs from countries and companies that were formerly taking advantage of the American people. You heard Pam talk about the public safety and the success that we've had there. I happen to believe that maybe the most sacred thing that we can deliver to American workers is the ability to live safely and comfortably in their own neighborhoods. Public safety is not just something that should belong to the wealthy, it should belong to every working man and woman in the United States of America. And because of the work of this administration, that is happening. And of course, Mr. President, you yourself talked about the inflation mess that we inherited under the Biden administration. Maybe the most striking and even shocking statistic of the Biden administration is that housing costs have gone up by 100% over the 4 years of the Biden administration, literally double, making the American dream of homeownership unaffordable. We've made great strides and great progress already.
Sub to the page. Make sure y'all sub to the page if y'all just coming in. We're trying to hit 10K subs today. I want to see if we could do it. We're about 7 something away. We need a lot of help. Sub to the page. If you don't do nothing else, sub to the page, please.
National security in our country has never been.
If you're a real person, just sub to the page.
You have brought us.
You can't go wrong.
You had the
What's the worst gonna happen? I'm gonna pop up on your For You page? Wow. Another person on your For You page. Wow.
That is on the front of everyone's mind, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve's independence comes from a political arrangement between itself and the American public. Having the public's trust is the only thing that gives it credibility. And you,
I just want authentic engagement. That's all. I just want real people. That's all. That's why I want to build like this, because I want real people. You know what I mean?
And the old ways of
I want real engagement. I want real people to be watching my feed when we do broadcast. You identify as a cat, then meow. Meow. You know what I'm saying?
And the only other time that they've done this in the past 70 years was in your previous term. Your efforts on tax, trade, and deregulation have boosted paychecks for American workers while slowing the pace of inflation and lowering the cost of energy. Inflation has plummeted to just 1.9% since you took office, and the economy rebounded with real GDP surging 3% last quarter. The blue-collar boom coincides with a CapEx comeback. In anticipation of your one big beautiful bill becoming law, CapEx increased by American businesses by nearly 14% in the first half of this year. And as you and I talk about frequently, and as that chart or that photo attests, we are going to see, I believe, a bigger CapEx boom from here. This is just the beginning, just the beginning. You have saved this country by making it the best place in the world to do business.
Make sure y'all keep reminding people to sub to the page.
Helping to implement
that way I ain't got to keep repeating it, please.
As well as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. This weekend, I will be meeting with workers from local restaurants to discuss the positive impacts of the pro-labor reform on no tax on tips. And I have to tell you, thanks to you, when I go into a restaurant or stop by a Hotel Dorman, I am the most popular person there. And since my first job at age 9 was as a busboy getting tips, I am going to spend Labor Day going from restaurant to restaurant, talking to workers who receive substantial amount of tip income. So I'll hear directly from them how your one big beautiful bill is increasing their take-home pay and making a big difference. Now, we can also talk, that is domestic. On the international front, you have leveled the international trading system whereby countries took advantage of us, and that's over. It's over. The Treasury Department is is taking in record tariff revenues that I had been saying was running at a rate of $300 billion a year. You chastise me for saying that it's not, that number is too low. And as usual, you're right, that we had a substantial jump from July to August. And I think we're going to see a bigger jump from August to September. So I
Don't forget
think
to
we
sub
could be
to the
on our way
page.
well over $500 billion, maybe towards the $1 trillion number. This administration, your administration, has made a meaningful dent in the budget deficit. The average budget deficit during this term is 26% less than the last 12 months under Biden. And even the CBO, and we don't agree with CBO on everything, as you said, last Friday, on a summer Friday, had to admit that they believe over the next 10 years, the budget deficit will be $4 trillion lower than they had previously scored. $4 trillion, 3.3 trillion of tariff income, 700 billion of lower interest cost, and I would expect that that number could go up from here. So, Mr. President, your return to the White House marked the return of the American worker. Thank you for reclaiming Labor Day for the American people. You're growing the economy for everyone, especially the middle and lower income households who suffered disproportionately under the last administration, and it's an honor to do this under your leadership.
Great job. You're doing great. Thank you very much, Scott. Brooke?
Sir, I dropped my second son off of college last week. And I wasn't planning to say this, but just listening to everybody, I want to put a little bit of a personal touch on this work. He started his freshman year yesterday at Texas A&M, for all my SEC friends in the room. Thank you for saving college football, by the way. We're all very grateful. The country just feels different. It just feels different. There's such a optimism and a love. There's a faith movement going through, especially with our younger Americans. And for those of us with kids in college, I know we feel it. And I experienced it firsthand last week, moving him and my other older son in as well. As we move toward Labor Day, you have made a lot of dreams come true for a lot of people, but one of my longtime dreams was for the right to recapture Labor Day. And I've been talking about this for almost 20 years and writing about it, that why are we ceding the day that we are celebrating the American worker to the Democrats? Because this is our day, perhaps of any day of the entire year. This is our day. America was founded and fought for by fishermen and farmers and workmen and et cetera. The Genesis, the first book of the Bible, talks about the righteousness of work and the art of creation. And so to be
they talking about the first book of the Bible. We might have to expand on that. We might have to expand on that.
I do believe we're in a revolution. 1776 was the first one. 1863 or so with Abraham Lincoln was the second. This is the third with Donald Trump leading the way. And we are saving America. And the idea that we are putting the worker, the very central component of the American dream, at the center of it, is the reason that it is so. So at USDA, it continues to be my greatest honor to fight for the original American worker, whom I think the farmer is and what they represent. And as we are building new systems and new structures, as we have this year going to have the best harvest on record for our row croppers and others, what this team has done and is doing to open up those markets to ensure that these farmers can continue to return prosperity to rural America. I'll finish with this. This morning, we had a working group with 6 of our cabinet members. Bobby Kennedy representing healthcare, Linda McMahon education, Lee Zeldin deregulation, Kelly Loeffler small business, Lori Chavez Trimmer labor, and Scotty Turner housing. And how you leading the way in your vision, how that will return the golden age to rural America.
Did she just mention the golden age?
And whether it's
wow, she's mentioned a lot of spiritual stuff, a lot of
better and bigger
Aquarius sky stuff.
Opportunities for our workers and better housing, and of course the agriculture piece of that. through the big, beautiful Build the Bill, what it did, the greatest investment in rural America in history. And now the opportunity to effectuate that is, again, a game changer, a country saver, and what a joy to be able to do it under your leadership. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Stated, thank you. Scott?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm so grateful to be here to celebrate Labor Day with the greatest team in America. And it is football season, so I'm happy about that. But Mr. President, I want to say thank you for, as you said, reclaiming Labor Day. And you've been a tremendous champion for the American worker. I come from a hard-working family, as many people around this table do. And so thank you for helping us to change the conversation. And I believe we are changing the conversation around the kitchen table. And as everybody knows, you know, my job is to steward HUD. And we have at HUD been very intentional about changing the conversation about the dignity of work and the dignity and the honor of family formation through work, and how the younger generation, when they see their parents work, how they're incentivized to work. And that, you know, America is not a welfare state, but America was built on small business. It was built on entrepreneurship. And so as it pertains to housing, we've been very focused on that, and even some that receive HUD funding to make sure, like our Section 3, when you receive HUD funding, that you are given opportunities for the most vulnerable Americans that you serve to have work, to have opportunities to work, to have work requirements. Work requirements are not a bad word, that's a great word. Time limits is a great word to incentivize people, able-bodied, able-minded people to work. And I believe that we are, under your leadership, sir, changing that conversation in America to where working is an honorable thing. And Secretary Wright talked about revitalization. Revitalization means to bring new life. And I believe we're bringing new life to America, Mr. President, through work and through all the jobs that people are doing around this table. And with the one big beautiful bill, the most extensive tax break in American history, opportunity zones are now made permanent. And you know how passionate I am, and you are too, sir, about opportunity zones. And so this will allow us to continue to build affordable housing around our country. And Mr. Vice President, I'm coming your way. I'm coming to Columbus later this week and to see how we can continue to build affordable housing in our country with opportunity zones. And you know, 1 million people, Mr. President, were lifted out of poverty because of opportunity zones. $90 billion of private money was invested in opportunity zones, urban, tribal, and rural. And now that they've been made permanent, we're looking for millions more to be lifted out of poverty, $100 billion to be invested, hundreds of thousands of jobs to be created, hundreds of thousands of units of housing to come online. And so, sir, I sit here very excited about the future of this country. I'm very proud to be at this table, humbled to do so. And HUD, we're on a good path. So thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
And helping us.
Thank you very much, Scott. And I want to give credit to Tim Scott, great senator from a place called South Carolina that we love, right? And Tim really came up with opportunity zones, and we did a good job of working with him, and together we created something that nobody speaks of very much, but it's probably the most successful thing that's ever been done of its kind. It's been amazing. So Tim Scott deserves a lot of credit for that. Thank you. So Russell, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I get the opportunity to go hand by hand with all of these people as they move their deregs to the Office of Management and Budget. And I wanted to zoom out for a second. In the first term, you gave us a goal of 2 for 1. And then we outperformed it through your leadership. We came in at around 5.5, 6 for 1. And then as you're running for your second term, you put out a goal that when you put it out, I was thinking to myself, that's going to be a pretty ambitious goal. You said 10 for 1. Well, where we are right now, in just 1 month, in 1 year, basically 8 months, we are at 245 deregulatory initiatives planned by these agencies. That comes out to 30 for 1. So we are making incredible strides. And you know, as you're focused on the details of each one, I mean, these aren't small things. Endangerment finding is one of the most deregulatory things in the history of this country. NEPA reform, incredibly deregulatory. WOTUS just came in, which is waters in the United States. So every single one of these agencies is doing incredible work when it comes to deregulatory, and when you add that to the work being done to get us going on energy, reduce spending, we're going to lower costs for the American people, we're going to be able to have innovative jobs and get them back to work. So thank you for your leadership, Mr. President.
Thank you, great job, Russell, appreciate it. John, central casting, I thought, you central.
Well, Mr. President, I'm grateful to be with everyone today as we're talking about jobs and workforce. At CIA, consistent with your directives to all of us, we've embraced your mantra for a leaner, more effective, more efficient workforce. But at CIA, Mr. President, we had an additional challenge because, as you know, at times, our workforce had been misdirected. Its focus put on political narratives, some that even worked against you and always worked against the American people.
I heard about that.
But under your leadership and your direction, we have been focused back on the core mission of what CIA is supposed to be doing, which is to provide you and this entire incredible team around the table with a decisive strategic advantage in accomplishing your goals. And your success in that regard, the examples are clear and many. With regard to Iran, everyone knows that our DoD partners executed that mission flawlessly. But flawless military operations are subject to flawless intelligence. And as you know, Mr. President, CIA was the backbone in terms of its intelligence operations in providing that flawless execution that allowed you and your team to obliterate Iranian nuclear facilities and set back the nuclear program by years. Likewise, with regard to your ability to prevent and to preempt wars between India and Pakistan, between Armenia and Azerbaijan, between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, in all those cases, CIA intelligence supported you and your entire team in making that possible. It's not just you, it's folks around this table, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lufkin, Trade Representative Greer, and their great successful negotiations on trade and tariffs. Again, this is a CIA workforce working to enable them to accomplish your goals. So as we roll into Labor Day, I tell you that the CIA workforce at the Trump CIA is grateful to be focused on what it's supposed to be, which is helping you prevent and end wars and to make America safer.
Thank you very much, you've been really fantastic, but I'm not surprised. I've known John a long time, I'm not surprised at all. Thank you very much. Steve, please.
Mr. President, working for this government, for you, is the greatest honor of my life. I tell it to everybody, and I really do feel that way, and I thank you, because it's a privilege to go out there and represent you in your humanitarian effort, in your goals of solving conflicts all over the world. I think there were actually more than 7 conflicts that you put to bed in the last 8 weeks. And I hear these, I travel all over the world. In Hostage Square, they talk about you reverentially. It's really quite amazing. I sometimes wish that I had a camp recorder with me and I could put you right there as I listen to it. I was in Gaza, the first American diplomat, on your behalf, and as we delivered food and aid pursuant to your new aid initiative, pushed forth by your great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who it was a privilege for me to work alongside. The people were applauding you. The signs were up. I mean, these are people who I just don't think you get the proper credit for them. We are negotiating multiple entries into the Abraham Peace Accords because of your vision. Azerbaijan, all these different conflicts that we're out there on your behalf on, these are people who have never really seen the world change in this way. Peace through strength really, really works. Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, Hamas, we're having meetings all this week on all 3 of those conflicts, and we hope to settle them before the end of this year. Your team is nothing short of incredible. And there's only one thing I wish for, that noble committee finally gets its act together and realizes that you are the single finest candidate since the Nobel Peace, this Nobel Award was ever talked about, to receive that award. Beyond your success, it is game-changing out in the world today. And I hope everybody one day wakes up and realizes that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Jameson?
Mr. President, I like to think of Labor Day as the Trump trade policy day.
Trump
Because
trade
everyone around this
policy
table,
day.
everyone listening knows that one of the major reasons why American workers and organized labor voted for you is because of your trade policy and the policies you've had and advocated for 40 years or more. You have reset global trade policy in the past few months, and it shows that it's been working for American workers. When you look at President Biden, in the last quarter of 2024, median weekly earnings fell 2.1%. In the first quarter of your term, they went up 3.3%. And that's why we're doing the trade policy we're doing. It's to help the workers of the United States of America. And they're the best in the world, but they can't do it without a level playing field. And you have flipped the script. For many years, the other countries had high tariffs and high non-tariff barriers, while we were open to all of their labor and services and goods and capital. You flipped it. Now we have the tariffs, and they have lowered their non-tariff barriers. We couldn't have done it without you and the leverage you've created. So between the tariffs and the deals, the hot streak continues for the workers of America. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Really good job, by the way. It's a good negotiator. Good negotiator. Thank you. Please.
Well, Mr. President, I feel like, as everybody here is talking about how great working with this team is and all, but I do feel a special need that you give me the privilege of working with the best of America. I get to take care of veterans. I get to take care of the veterans who Labor Day really finds its roots in, if you think about it. We wouldn't have Labor Day if it wasn't for men and women who would leave their jobs and go fight this nation's battles to keep us free and independent so that they would have jobs to come home to. And over the past few years, they've been coming home to many times a government that was keeping them back, holding them back, taxing them, regulating them. And now we have veterans who represent the bill, the big beautiful bill, they're the beneficiaries of it. And I get to see them all the time because they're receiving the benefit because they see the jobs, they see the care that they're getting. And these veterans can look at their country with pride, knowing that we're taking care of it, just like you told me to do. And your only statement you said to me, I asked you what to do, you said, take care of my veterans. That's what we're doing. One of the other things we're doing right now is, for many of you, I love to hear how you're deregulating everything, and I've worked for Congress and worked for many of you before. I get to do the same thing with the largest bureaucratic organization in government. We're deregulated from the inside. And it's amazing to me because we have such a powerful workforce at the VA who really want to do good, but yet they kept tripping themselves up. They kept making their own, we'd take one step forward and put a regulation in and put them 3 steps back, and it always hurt our veterans at the end. We're taking that away. We're making community care again, Mr. President. We talked about this yesterday. We're making community care a part of our direct care system. So if a veteran wants to get into the community, they have our direct care and they also have the ability to go into the community. Something that the previous administration decided they wanted to keep everybody inside because they thought it was a fiefdom they were building. I'm telling you, we're not building a fiefdom at the VA. We're trying to take care of a service organization that takes care of veterans. So how do we do that? We make best medical interest where a doctor can send a veteran to the community a lot quicker without having to worry about miles and time logged and wait time. Just give them the help they need. We've actually expanded out, and it's made a difference in this regulation, and also unleashed a workforce that is now free of the collective bargaining agreements and other things that have kept them from being able to do the job of national security that they've been intended to. I'm actually giving them the benefit of the doubt to actually go be the workers that they're called to be, and that's what Labor Day is about. The VA is going to have the best workers. But just to let you know how that's working out, wait times at our hospital are going down because we're getting them in our hospitals or into community care. And then one for you, Mr. President, you heard about this a lot, and that was backlogs. If the backlog when I first came in, and I've said this before, in February we had over 260,000 backlog. That means over 125 days of not getting an answer. In just a little over 4.5 months, we've dropped that over 100,000. We're under 150 and heading down to historic lows. We'll be within the next month lower than any time under the previous administration at all. That means our veterans are getting the help they need. So when you look at it this way, we've opened new facilities. We put new facilities in places where workers can get to. We've expanded out hours, over 1 million extra hours, so veterans, younger veterans in particular, can get off of work and bring themselves and get their appointments in after hours on Saturdays. That's what it means. Veterans Day. That's what it means. Who fought for us to be on this table today. It's all because of what you've done for all the cities we've made.
Well, you've done a tremendous job, and I hear it all the time. We have a 93% approval rating at the VA now. And you know what it was before? It was like horrible. So thank you very much.
Mr. President, there's been some conversation about the Pete and Bobby challenge. I would just note that I don't think Pete or Bobby could hold these sticks for 2.5 hours. You know what, that could be the challenge, so be it. But, I think 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups might be
You know,
easy.
it is a comparison company. We had this problem with Biden. He's in and out very quickly.
So kudos on Labor Day to the audio team that's holding sticks. But, Mr. President, it's pretty great to celebrate Labor Day with a builder who loves labor, who loves the men and women who built this country, the people that sweat, that have great skills, they have grit, they do the dirty jobs of America that have made this country great, and you know them very well because you have worked with them. The great Trump projects have come from the very men and women we're going into this weekend to celebrate. We all want to claim Labor Day in our departments, but I'm going to claim this at DOT because, you know, roads, bridges, pipelines, shipbuilding, rail, passenger, and freight all fall under the great men and women who wear boots and make this country wonderful. And at DOT, we don't want to have the Congress spend money. We want to take the money that Congress gives us and actually deploy it and put these men and women to work building the great projects of this country. The use of the big, beautiful projects that connect this country. And that's why we have got rid of the DEI, we've got rid of the green, we've done what we can to streamline the regulation, to move these projects faster. Time is money, and time has been money. Even Democrats agree now that it takes too long to go through the regulatory process. So we're gonna move these projects faster, putting the great American worker back to work. I want to make a quick comment. We've all probably talked about this horrific accident in Florida, and I appreciate the help of Christy and Marco on this very issue. But in May, we said, listen, it's a safety issue if you can't proficiently speak the English language. And we gave states a little over a month to comply. And Washington, California, and New Mexico have refused to comply. And by the way, this individual in Florida received the CDL from Washington, from California, and received a speeding ticket after our rule went into place, and they didn't stop him. And had they taken him out of service, he wouldn't have been in Florida, and he would have 3 beautiful people alive today. And I make that point because it's the work that maybe no one sees that then, you know, shines a light when horrific things happen, but also that your cabinet works together and teams up to make a difference for the American people. Real quickly, so we have a safety mission at DOT. I don't know that you'd think of the transit unions in the greatest cities of the country, New York maybe being one of them, that support us, but they do because the violence in the subways and on our buses across the country, the transit workers are the ones who take the most abuse, and they're grateful for the mission of everybody around this table fighting to make their communities safer. So I appreciate everyone's help on that, but again, the transit unions love the effort that all of us have put in together. One quick, FAA. We are about to put out a request for proposals for a big, beautiful bill. We got build. We got 12.5 billion in the big, beautiful bill. We need more, but this is a great start. I expect the middle to the later part of July, we'll be through the process to bring the proposed integrators to you for selection, so we're looking forward to that. We will have the most, I'm learning from you, this is going to be the greatest contract ever crafted in the federal government for this build for air traffic control. Really, we're just innovative and we have unique tools at FAA. It's going to be a great contract. Bobby left me out of the windmill conversation, Bobby, but so there was a study done in the last administration that said if you build windmills 1.2 miles, within 1.2 miles from a roadway, it can mess up the automation and technology on a car. Same thing 1.2 miles from rail. The last administration buried that report, Mr. President. And so now what we've said is, What we're gonna do is say, listen, I'm sorry, it is a safety risk to build windmills this close to roads, by the way, they wanna build them by roads and by rail. We're gonna say no more, it is a safety risk, we have a report to show that.
You hear that, Lynn?
There's no quick.
It's a good idea. It's
It's a
great.
good team effort. I wasn't invited to the party, but, you know, so. Maybe next time, Bobby. One last thing, we have this Mars to Moon mission, at NASA, no, Moon to Mars mission, sorry about that. But sometimes people think that space doesn't matter to them, but if you look at every rocket that's launched, the machinists, the truck drivers, the electricians, the welders that build these rockets, in the industry that has developed over the course of the last 10 years in space, is truly remarkable. It's not just, rich guys sending up rockets in partnership with NASA. There's a whole industry of working men and women who we saw design the rockets that are making America the leader in space. So thank you for your leadership, and happy to celebrate
Thank you very
this
much,
weekend
Sean.
with you.
Really good. And he's doing a good job at NASA too, and we are, I think we'll have some pretty exciting announcements, and you enjoy it.
And fun.
I said, how about temporary? He said, well, can I go a little bit longer? He loves it. He loves it, and he's doing a really good job. Thank you very much, appreciate it. Howard, please.
So, making America great again is one of the key statements, and people don't always understand what you mean. So, we always talk about 1870 to 1913, but in the mid-1980s, America owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us. We owned $140 billion of the rest of the world net of what they owned of us. And when you came into office this time, the rest of the world owned $24 trillion more of our assets than we owned of theirs. And so when people argue with you about, the trade deficit is nothing, the trade deficit sends 1.2 trillion of our dollars to them. And what do they do with it? They buy the great America. Because when we learned in college, what we learned was that if you keep printing these dollars, they're supposed to devalue. But the problem is we're too smart. We invented the light bulb, the transistor, the GPU, so they keep buying us. And the only president ever to understand that, and you understood it in the 80s and the 90s, and I used to, see you on TV and you'd say, God, what are these people doing? And finally, we've changed it. So let's go over what we changed. So Japan and Korea, they're never gonna open their markets to us. So we've negotiated $900 billion that they're giving you to invest in national and economic security in America. The European Union, the second largest economy, $20 trillion. And all the experts said, you'd never get a deal done with them. And watching you in Scotland was my favorite thing, right? 15%, they'll pay us 15%, and we will pay zero. So we can export to their $20 trillion economy, and they can pay to come to the great American consumer, right? So, a couple of other things. 4 days before you took office, the Commerce Department, which had the CHIPS money, they set up this thing called NatCast, which was a make-believe not-for-profit. And they signed contracts to wire them $7.4 billion. This was just nonsense. So we stopped the payment, we've got the money. It's an illegal thing to try to set up a department that's not the Department of Commerce, that kind of acts like the Department of Commerce. And what was it filled with? All these people who work for the Biden administration. I mean, it's exact corruption that you talk about. $7.4 billion now clawed back. Last week was the most fun. In 1 week, Intel came in, right? The Biden administration had given $11 billion to Intel. Given it to them, done. Corporate just gift. And you turn that into really, it was like less than 5 minutes of conversation. And Intel agreed to give us 10% of their company, which of course was worth $11 billion. So it's not socialism. This is capitalism. If you give someone $11 billion who's just building in America. They're not doing something special, they're building in America. And their CEO told the president he didn't need the grant. And you said, well then why don't we get something for it? So it's amazing. You're going to watch semiconductors come home, right? We don't produce semiconductors. We've got 165 billion for TSMC, but you're gonna watch the whole ecosystem come home because Donald Trump is the only president who understands the magnet to make them come home is one word, which used to be a favorite word, now it's dropped to number 4, which is tariffs, right? Tariffs are gonna bring semiconductors home. They are going to empower Bobby to execute MFN. Tariffs are going to be one of those tools that he's going to use to do that. We're going to do it for furniture. We're getting autos. We have steel, aluminum. I mean, it has been a blast, a blast. So, 2 more things. The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it.
Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe to the page. Roll to 10K. Roll to 10K. Help me get there.
For them to do research, and they invent things. And you know who owns those patents? The universities. So we are going to make a deal with them all, which is if we give them the money, don't you think it's fair that the United States of America and the taxpayers who funded it get a piece of that, right? So we wrote a letter to Harvard, so Linda and I are working together. I mean, it's so much fun to work with everybody here. I mean, we just have a blast. You know, because Linda's hitting Harvard and she said, what can we do? Now we send them a patent letter and we'll hit them again. So we're having fun together. This is the greatest cabinet working for the greatest president, and I just want to say thank you. I'm having the time of my life working for you, Mr. President.
Yeah, that was very well stated, wasn't it? Things people don't think of too much. Thank you very much. Great job. Pete?
Sure. Amen to what Howard said. And I would just say, heading into Labor Day for the American military, sir, we happen to be the largest employer in America. We like to think we have a different form of employees who need to be the toughest and the strongest and the most well-trained and the most lethal. And under the previous administration, and for decades, frankly, it was social justice, it was political correctness, it was divisive ideologies seeping into the ranks and changing how well we do our job. No more. Now it is only merit-based, gender-neutral, colorblind, the best of the best from the top to the bottom. That's our expectation. And so you've enabled that. So from the troops directly, which they ask me to say all the time, thank you for your leadership, for your boldness, for your clarity, for common sense, for providing a shield for the rest of us to put America first and to apply peace through strength. We're in the strength business. That's our job, to stand behind everybody here and alongside John in everything they do to keep the country safe. And the world is noticing. I wish everybody could. There were 2 meetings yesterday that I think tell the story. One was, because today happens to be the 4-year anniversary of what happened in Abbey Gate in Afghanistan. And Mr. President, you had families in it, who you've met with multiple times, who when the cameras were on and not on, acknowledged, sir, you were the only one that gave them a proper greeting, that recognized what they gave their sons and daughters in the debacle that was the withdrawal in Afghanistan. That we will bring accountability toward the Defense Department through our investigation.
That's good.
But at the same time, the world sadly took notice. Whether it was Israel, whether it was Ukraine, those wars never would have started if you were president. Instead, they looked at the foolishness of Joe Biden. Under your military, your Pentagon, we are restoring deterrence. Whether it's midnight hammering, those beautiful B-2s, 37 hours straight, whether it's counter-drug operations in our own hemisphere, whether it's the border, working with Christie and the national security team, whether it's LA, whether it's Washington, D.C., you name it, whether it's Europe. Our allies paying 5%, now our allies in the Indo-Pacific stepping up to do the same. That's a recognition that American leadership is here. And then in the second meeting, we were talking about what we're doing in D.C. and Pam's taking the lead. I have to say, just pause for a second. When I look around this table, Yes, there's a national security team with Steve Witkoff and John and Scott and Howard and the vice president and Susie and Christy and Tulsi, but to every person, we work together on a daily basis. And if you call me and I call you, if the answer is yes, how do we do it together? I think that's exceptional. It's what the American people deserve, and you've demanded that, sir. So I'm very much appreciated. In that meeting on DC, I started my sentence by saying, the Department of Defense. To which you said, that just doesn't sound right. So maybe next time we're here, my card will read Department of War, we'll see. But it's not, here's the thing, here's what people miss. It's not just about words. It's about the warrior ethos. It's about what the department is supposed to do. George Washington started the Department of War because he wanted us to win our wars. Our founders didn't want endless foreign entanglements. They didn't want endless contingencies and deployments. They wanted an empowered military that was, the handcuffs were taken off to fight, to win, and then bring those troops home. So my platoon in Guantanamo Bay, our motto was, those who long for peace must declare for war. We must prepare for war. We don't want war, we don't seek it. You are the peace president, sir, because we are strong, our enemies know what we will do. And so whether it's Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, that warrior ethos is changing. We're going back to basics. Our drill instructors can be drill instructors again, sir. So from the minute of the tactical of standards to the strategic of B-2 bombers, we're focused on what matters. Had a meeting yesterday on Golden Dome for America, which is on track to deliver strategically for the American people. Munitions, and the Deputy Secretary making sure our stockpiles are overflowing. That's our job. I'm an honor to be a part of it, sir. Thank you for your leadership.
I would like Department of War better, but we'll make that decision.
It's going in there.
You've been
I said never mind for everything. It's going in there.
Well, Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed again. You were elected as the President of Working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so, but on the point of, you made it very clear from the outset, even in foreign policy, everything we did has to be pro-American. It has to make America stronger, safer, and more prosperous. And there's just a few things I want to touch to because it involves your team under your leadership making it happen. The first is, for the first time in the modern era, we are truly on offense against organized cartels that are pumping poison, killer poison, into our cities. And that's a team effort. It's Christie's team, it's Pete's team, it's Pam's team, and obviously it's under your leadership. And by the way, we're getting incredible economic, international cooperation. Countries just in the last week, Ecuador, Paraguay, Guyana, Trinidad, today Argentina, all joining us or trying to be helpful in advancing this. And this just, one thing is we're going to stop drugs from coming in and we're having record seizures, but another thing is to build an international coalition against the scourge on the international stage. The second is mass migration, illegal mass migration, which is dangerous for the country but harmful for American workers. What's happening on the border is essential, but it's not just what's happening on the border. And again, Christy and her team have been essential in this. We have countries all over the world that are actually helping us, whether it's through safe third country agreements, whether through it's stopping the migration flow from coming here in the first place. Incredible international cooperation. You redefined our border. It's no longer just our physical border. We are doing things ahead of time to prevent this from happening and getting cooperations from countries that we've never seen before. And last, I would say, and Steve touched upon this, who by the way is doing a phenomenal job. Steve is both a great negotiator and he's also a nice guy, which are two tough things to pull off together. But it's incredible. But we both work for the peacemaker in chief. Think about it, how fortunate we are as Americans to have a president who's made peace a priority. And just since the last time we've met, there was a war going on in Cambodia and Thailand. Between Cambodia and Thailand. The president just picks up the phone and tells them to stop fighting, and within 72 hours, the fighting had stopped. There's no other leader in the world that could have done it. And the fact that you're willing to spend time to do that and to make it happen is, of course, essential. And then the war that didn't happen because of Azerbaijan and Armenia coming here to sign that peace deal, which is historic in so many countries. Many countries said, it's never going to happen, it is impossible. And it occurred, Mr. President, because of your leadership. And then on a point of personal privilege, I wasn't even going to raise it. I haven't even talked to you about this. It's a little controversial, but I think I need to bring it up at this time of year.
This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football season is a scourge, Mr. President. It's dividing families. And I don't know if we can have an executive order on this, just saying, but it's really difficult. There's 7 other months of the year that people can get married, so I just wanted to say that. It's very, very difficult. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Well, Mr. President, you've heard from around the table how people are grateful to have an opportunity to be part of this team, have an opportunity to work for you, and have an opportunity to serve the American people. And I would say as we head into this Labor Day, the thing that really differentiates you and your leadership and everybody around this table is one word, and that's respect. Because this is a group of people that respect our farmers and ranchers. We respect the people that are in law enforcement. That's a huge change. Respecting the people that are in uniform, respecting our veterans, respecting our shrimp fishermen, I mean, whoever it is in this country, people that are building our roads. This whole group embodies that sense of respect. And when we start with that, then who benefits? We come up with policies that help those people. And what have you done? You've led an opportunity for us to have the lower taxes, way lower deregulation, record amounts of investment that's coming into this country. We're going to be seeing lower interest rates. All of those things coming together is a gift to the working people. The policies are lifting everybody up. There's 140 million Americans that get up and go every day and drive to work. They commute. And one of the most obscene things of the prior administration was their energy policies was creating a hidden tax on those people. The poorer you were, usually the further you had to drive because you couldn't afford the housing if you were working at a hotel, if you were working in a service industry. We were taxing them. A hidden tax on them was the high cost of energy. You're perhaps one of the only leaders in the world that understood the connection between peace abroad and prosperity at home was directly connected to energy policy. You came in and said, we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies. We're going to bring prosperity at home through policies here by having lower energy prices. And we're going to stop funding wars abroad with energy policies that help their adversaries and hurt us. You said we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies, and with the work that Jameson and Howard and Scott and everyone has done on these trade deals, we're going to have an opportunity to have a renaissance in American energy, selling energy to the world, which is going to help bring peace abroad. But the real key thing, in closing, I want to say is 2 things. One has to do with the U.S. Park Police. That's the group here in Washington, D.C. that are the oldest uniform law enforcement group in the nation. You coming out and visiting with them in person before they went out on the surge. Not only are carjackings down, muggings down, homicides down, everything down, morale is through the roof. Just like Pete saw, we've got record people signing up to want to be part of our military. You have breathed life back into the profession of law enforcement. Your respect for law enforcement is so incredible. It's making a difference. And then us giving them the tools. On a lighter note for everybody here, one of the rules that under President Trump we were able to change for the U.S. Park Police was they could do a pursuit. I was shocked to find out when we were talking to them, like, oh, you pull somebody over and they just drive away and you can't pursue them? And they said, no, we can't. They said, all the rules. We got that rule changed in 24 hours because of President Trump's leadership. The next night they had so much fun. They pulled people over, they started to take off, they chased them, they stopped them, and then the bad guys, some of the people were in cars that had stolen plates. So they take the plate off, they steal them off somebody else's car, they know what the plate doesn't match, they know they're doing this. The bad guys in the car said, you're not supposed to chase us. Like, you're breaking the rules. The bad guys are telling us, Ray, no, we're back in action. So it's like, and so the morale is high. They all wanted to say thank you to you. Yesterday you announced increasing the number of U.S. Park Police that we're going to hire. This is the group that protects not only our sacred monuments of democracy here, but also the Statue of Liberty and the Golden Gate. This is a great group, but on behalf of all law enforcement, we say thank you. And as Chris Wright was talking about electricity, I want to close with that. We've solved amazing things in 7 months, but the big challenge we have against the remaining is, solving Iran's nuclear thing, that was the next existential threat. China beating us in the AI arms race, that's the next existential threat. We finally have a president who talks about it. You talked about it in your opening remarks. You've signed executive orders. You understand that essentially we used to say, hundreds of years ago, people started saying that knowledge is power. But now, for the first time in history, we can take electricity and we can convert it into intelligence. So it's flipped. It's no longer knowledge is power. Power is also knowledge. And while we're ahead on the technology, we're way behind China on the amount of electricity they're bringing online. And your strong position to support affordable, reliable energy using our nation's resources, including those across the Department of Interior, bringing back coal mining, bringing back mining, bringing back timber. All the industries that have been killed in this country are coming back to life because of you. And with your leadership, we have a chance to not only win the AI arms race, but actually dominate it the way we're dominating in other things. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And we're leading that race right now by a lot. And we're going to keep the electricity coming. You know, in China, they do it very quickly. They have one person that says, do it, and that's it. But essentially, we have one person that says, do it. And we've given that order, and the job they've done has been amazing. And I want to thank again, Lee, what you're doing in that regard is so important. And the rapidity, just as fast as them, because it's a question of a week versus a day, and that's not going to make the difference. But you've done fantastically, and Doug and Chris, amazing job. So we've done this for a little while now. I don't think you've ever seen anything like it, and you know, I think Sean was right. These guys that are holding these up, if you ever try holding your hand out for 2 hours, it's a long time. These are pretty strong characters. You've been doing that a long time, I guess. Congratulations. Are you getting tired? Are you getting tired? I'm looking at these guys. They look like they have no problem. It's amazing, actually. It's, I think they would have beaten you guys in the test. So I want to thank you. If you want, you know, it's been a long time. If you want, we could go in and we can call it a day.
No, we have questions. Just a few questions, Mr. President.
And feel free then to ask some of the questions here. Look, I believe in very open, you know, we want to be open, above board. We want to be honest with the media. I wish the media was totally honest with us, but I think they're getting better, to be honest with you. And so we'll see. But if you want to take a few questions.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
On a serious note, when it comes to Fed Governor Lisa Cook, her lawyer has said that they're going to be filing a lawsuit challenging this legal action. What is your response? Are you prepared for a legal fight? And then a little bit more of a happy question, sir. And there's a lot of football.
We had a legal fight that went on for years with crooked people, with very horrible people that have been found out now between John Ratcliffe and Tulsi and Pam, and I mean the things that we found out. Of course, it's a very, very sad group of people. But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction, because she's in Georgia. If you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board, and it doesn't seem like she was. Yeah,
Mr. President, first, I would love to ask you a serious question, but I have to tell you the biggest pop culture news of the year broke while we were in this cabinet meeting. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged, and the world wants your reaction, sir.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck.
Thank you, sir.
I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy. And I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
On a serious note, Mr. President, in May, Secretary Rubio said that they were aggressively removing visas of Chinese students. Yesterday, you said you wanted to allow 600,000 Chinese students to study in the United States. Could you and the Secretary clarify what is the policy on Chinese students in the United States of America?
Well, we think look, we're getting along very well with China. And I'm getting along very well with President Xi. I think it's very insulting to see students can't come here because they'll go out and they'll start building schools and they'll be able to survive it. But I like that their students come here. I like that other countries' students come here. And you know what would happen if they didn't? Our college system would go to hell very quickly. You'd have, and it wouldn't be the top colleges. It would be colleges that struggle on the bottom. And you take out 300,000 or 600,000 students out of the system. I like having, and I told this to President Xi, that we're honored to have their students here. Now, with that, we check and we're careful and we see who's there, and Marco wants it. We're in the same position. But we have a tremendous college system, the best in the world. Nobody even close. That's why China sends them here. And you can call it an industry if you want, but you're talking about millions of people. And I'm honored to have the students from China come here. And we're just getting along very well with China. It's a different relationship that we had for years, where they took hundreds of billions of dollars, just sucked it right out of our country. They respect us again, I respect them. The relationship is very good. I think it's important that these are two very major powers, nuclear powers at that, two very important powers. You know, when I get along with Putin, when I get along with President Xi, when I get along with these people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're tough and we're smart and we're strong. We get along. It's a lot better than not getting along. You had somebody in here before, the war should have never started with Ukraine and Russia. It would have never started. And Putin said that himself. President Putin said that himself. So we want to see college students come in from countries. There are some countries that we can't necessarily say that. These are places that have ideologies that we can't live with. So there are some areas, some countries that we can't say that, but we're honored to have the students come here.
Mr. President, yesterday you said that within 2 to 3 weeks we would have a pretty good conclusive end to the war in Gaza. What did you mean by that? And can you tell us?
What?
In the war in Gaza, you said you said in 2 to 3 weeks we would have a conclusive end, a pretty good conclusive end.
It's conclusive. It's been going on for a long time. You're talking about, I guess if you really add it up, Steve, you're talking about thousands of years, okay? It's been going on for, there's nothing conclusive, but hopefully we're gonna have things solved very quickly with regard to Gaza and also with regard to Ukraine and Russia.
Mr.
Mr. President, cities are considering for the replacement to nominate for Lisa Cook, and what economic background or history are you?
Well, we have some very good people for that position, and I think we have some very good people. We're down to, I mean, I think I maybe in my own mind have somebody that I like, but I deal with Scott and I deal with Howard, and we're dealing with a lot of people actually that are going to be involved in that decision. It's a very important decision. As we see, I got a bad recommendation when I went with Jerome Too Late. You know, he's too late. Nickname is Too Late.
Y'all hit that like button. Y'all make sure y'all get those likes up. Get those likes up.
Our housing industry is good, but it could be phenomenal. Most of this country, in terms, economic terms, has been phenomenal. We've never seen anything like it. Because of him and his high interest rates, the housing is less than it could be. We're going to get that straightened out very quickly. He gets out very quickly, fortunately. He's been a long guy. Not a bad person, I don't think, but you know, I do think he has motives.
YouTube, don't let me down. Don't let me down, YouTube. Get those likes up. We're trying to get 10,000 subs today. So get those subs up, get those likes up. I got to make this rice and salmon, you know, because I got to eat. Seven just came home. He ate cereal, but he going to want something to eat because he, you know. Plus he said if I get, how much you say, 100K subs? If I get 100K subs, he going, you know, I'm going to be his hero.
By the way, but I don't consider him, I've dealt with words.
I'm working on becoming your hero.
It's very simple. Donald Trump's Republican Party wants very simple things for this country. We want you to be able to earn a good living in your community. We want you to be...
I want to thank you. If you want, you know, it's been a long time. If you want, we could go in and we can call it a day. And feel free then to ask some of the questions here. Look, I believe in very... Won in a landslide, so they obviously lost their power. I mean, it's impossible to imagine that when you get 97% negative stories, purposely negative stories, even though you've done 97% positive things, that they could, that you could win an election in a landslide, winning all seven. Think of it, all 7 swing states, winning by the popular vote by millions of votes. We had a fantastic, the best this year, districts out of 3,000 districts. I guess we won 3,500. We won 2,750, and they won 500. And that's, to me, the best of all. And we had tremendous in every way, the election. And it's hard to believe you can do that when you have a corrupt media. But many of you are corrupt, and it's nothing we can do about it. But we keep winning, and we're going to keep winning. And this whole story on crime is incredible that the Democrats wouldn't be with us. So the mayor of Chicago, I watched him this morning, he said, Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He only apprehended 9 people. Well, number one, that's false. It's thousands. We'll get into that. But more importantly than anything, we took guns away. We have some of the worst career professionals out of the country already. They've been taken out of the country, and some are in solid confinement because these were killers. We arrested some very bad people. And in the last 11 days, again, I hate to say it because it sounds so ridiculous, but in the last 11 days, we've had no murders. And that's the first time that's taken place in years, actually years. We always have a murder a week. They call it a murder a week. You come here from Iowa, you come here from Indiana, you come here from Idaho, because you're so proud of your country, you love your country, and then you get murdered. Your son gets murdered, your daughter gets murdered, you get murdered. See the media, you get murdered. Many of you have been mugged in Washington, you just don't want to talk about it. And I know that every time I do this with you, you almost everything, but every time I do this with you, people are saying to yourselves, he's right, and then you write a negative story. But we are doing an incredible job. The people behind me are amazing. We're working very well with the Washington police, as you know. The DC National Guard is unbelievable. We're also getting tremendous help from Secret Service. And we are at a point where Washington is booming again. People are pouring in like we haven't seen for years. Nobody wanted to come here. They didn't want to come here and get murdered. I have a friend of mine who is a very successful son. And I said, where is your son going to be this weekend? He said, he's going to Washington with his friends. I said, really? Yeah, he's wanted to do it for 4 years, but he couldn't do it because it was so unsafe. And he's a tough kid, too. It's so unsafe. And he ended up staying 3 nights, going out to restaurants all 3 nights. He said it was so beautiful, so peaceful, because all the criminals are either arrested or they're hiding. And we're finding the ones that are hiding. So I want to thank Pam Bondi. I want to thank our Vice President. I want to thank everybody standing behind me. Because they are really, Gaddy, you've been unbelievable, by the way. They have done an unbelievable job. They're working 24 hours a day. And Washington, D.C. is now in great shape. I'm going to be working with Clark Construction, which is by far your biggest construction company. And we're going to also beautify Washington. We're going to rip down the broken medians, fix them. We're going to put asphalt on the roads. We're not ripping them apart like these stupid people do. They rip a road. They rip a road down to the dirt, and then they spend 5 years in building the new one, and then it starts settling. You know, the whole thing is so crazy. And they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a road. I'll spend about $2, and it'll look better. So we're going to be replacing medians. We're going to be replacing much of the asphalt in the road, which in the city, which is in bad shape. We have great stripers. We have great contractors. But we have to let them do the thing. The Congress has said that they'll give us whatever money is needed to fix up the Capitol. This is the Capitol. And we're not going to spend a lot. It's going to go fast. And it will be spotless. And we want it spotless for the World Cup and for the Olympics. You saw the World Cup was here the other day. And come to think of it, there's your trophy for the World Cup. In fact, it's solid gold. That's actually solid gold. So heavy that some of the people in this room wouldn't be able to lift it up. I think what I'm going to do is place it right above the angel, right over there. That's solid gold too. We're going to put it right up there. Look at it. There's a solid gold trophy. They know how to get to me, you know. I like the angel better, to be honest with you. So we're going to sign, and then we'll take a few questions, and we'll tell you how good a job we're doing. We want to go from here to other places, but I was telling some of the people that in a certain way, you really want to be asked to go. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians, like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. Gavin Newsom's a disaster. When we went, we saved Los Angeles. You wouldn't have been able to have the Olympics in Los Angeles. You're barely able to have it now. They did lose 25,000 houses to a fire that should have never occurred because they didn't let the water come down from the Pacific Northwest, which you guys don't want to write about. I had to break into the water supply to let the water down. And even now, we want more. We can have much more. It's less than half of what should be coming in. I don't know, they have a political thing about it. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But I don't like going to a town, a city, place, a state, and then be criticized by some corrupt or incompetent governor where crime is rampant. Like, take a look at DC, crime was rampant. It was at the all-time worst. It got really bad during the Biden 4 years. And then I have a mayor stand up and say how crime has reached a 30-year low. 30-year low. People are being killed left and right. And it's not a 30-year low. Think of it. So for 11 days, there have been no murders. The record goes back years where that's happened. They haven't seen that happen in years. And then people stand up, and instead of thanking us, which they should do,
Hit that like button, double tap the screen, hit that like button.
you know, you have people, I watched in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there, it's a disaster what's going on in Chicago. And you get to Pritzker, he's violating our rights. I think this is another men and women's sports thing. I think this is one of those, you know, they call them 80-20 issues. I call them 97-3. I think the Democrats better get smart. And, you know, politically, I hope they don't. But actually, in terms of love for the country, I hope they do, because it will be good to work together. So I'm thinking about, you know, when I have some slob like Pritzker criticizing us before we even go there, I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick. But I'm really saying, and I say this to all of you, in a certain way, we should wait to be asked, because they have cities that are so under control, you know, out of control. So we go in and fix it. They take the full credit for it, and they go out and say, I heard it this morning. They're saying how well they've done over the last 10-day period, that they set record lows. They don't say that we're there with very tough people, by the way. They have to pass the toughness test, otherwise they're not working for us. So, and we're allowed to do that now according to the United States Supreme Court decision. Now they have to pass the toughness test. If they're not tough, we don't want them for this job. They might be great for other jobs, but not for this job, because they're respected. You saw the gang of kids, they were all huddled up, and a group of soldiers walked up. They never even got over. Those kids ran back to their homes or wherever the hell they came from. They were gone. This is one of the safest cities right now in the world, as crazy as that sounds. And it took 7 days. It took really 3 days, but we're now in our 11th day. So I want to thank you. So we had all of these things, 439 illegal alien criminals have been removed, and we have 6 known gang members, some of the worst leaders of gangs anywhere in the country, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. We have 2 missing children that have been recovered. They thought they were gone. We brought them back to the family. The family started crying. They couldn't believe that they saw their child again. 49 homeless encampments have been removed. Like, we have the head of South Korea coming in a little while, the president, and he drives down the street. Already, his people have told me, he said, what happened? It's so clean. We always came here, it was filthy dirty with homeless and papers all over the road. That's the other thing. Those roads are swept, immaculate. But they're going to be much better in a few months when we put a topping on them. They're going to look like they're brand new. We'll get rid of those rusty old medians that have been crashed into 1,000 times, and they don't fix them. They just let them, they lay them down on the road, and they sit there for months. But we don't do that. We don't run things. We run things like we run this. We like clean, we like beautiful, we like safe, and that's what we're getting. So I'll start signing the executive orders. To me, this is a very, very big deal. One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that, because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street, all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in DC. and that we have the right to do through federalization. Okay, let's go. Could I ask you to say exactly what this is?
Of course. So as you've consistently identified, sir, cashless bail policies are a key driver of the disorder we see on city streets all over America. Catch and release system allows criminals to keep going back out onto the street and reoffending. What this executive order does, it charges your attorney general with identifying jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy. So some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America.
Almost all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state, but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business and he becomes governor. Now he wants to run for president. I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay, we'll sign right here, right?
Sir.
So important. And this isn't Republican, Democrat. This is, and by the way, most Democrats agree with us. But this is just, we gotta bring our country back. Okay? That's a big one.
Also on the issue of cashless bail, sir, this is a DC specific executive order. In addition to the measures that we're taking that are quite similar to what we're doing around the country, in DC in particular, the objective is holding as many criminal defendants in federal custody and subjecting them to federal charges as possible. That means that they'll be held pre-trial in federal jail as opposed to just being cut back out on the streets due to a cashless bail policy.
Okay? And we have the room. And by the way, the prison they have in DC is horrible. It's horrible. People were subjected to live in that dog trap for so long, so unfairly. I have stories, you'll be hearing about them. That prison is horrible. Okay?
This is an executive order that contains a number of additional measures relating to crime and law enforcement in Washington, D.C. It charges, for example, your Secretary of Defense with establishing specialized units in both the D.C. National Guard and the National Guard units around the country, specifically trained and equipped to deal with public order issues. It charges all of your various federal law enforcement agencies with hiring additional personnel to allow them to surge personnel to Washington, D.C. to deal with the current emergency here. It does a number of other things in that space, and it also asks the Attorney General to look at D.C. Metropolitan Police general orders that have currently impeded law enforcement efforts in the city, and to potentially look at unwinding those that are stopping the police from doing their job effectively.
And are we gonna ask this to be codified by Congress, all of these things?
I think we could potentially, yes, sir.
I think so. I think we should. I think we'll get it too. I think Democrats will vote. Well, I don't know. It's hard to believe. It might not, but I think Democrats will actually vote for this. There's no auto pen that can do that. Right? Look at that, Pam. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody. I don't know. That's the other thing. I assume we're looking at the whole auto pen scandal. Because the person that ran it said he spoke to it briefly twice about nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen, very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your Attorney General.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech, but there's another reason which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You could do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did that? Incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you heard any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing we stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned.
Share the live, or copy the link.
By people that are,
simple
in many
stuff.
cases, paid agitators.
Share the live, copy the link. Simple stuff.
These people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know.
And
what they're
sub
doing
to the
this
page.
We're trying to get the 10K
subs today.
I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy a nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up, trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day. 38 European countries were.
Hey, YouTube, don't let me down, YouTube. Don't let me down. I believe in y'all. I believe we can get the 10K subscribers today. Today, I believe we can get the 10K subscribers. Today, I believe it. I believe it. If you believe it, put a 1 in the comment section and hit that sub page.
European and other.
I'm gonna line up a couple of them for y'all to watch. So I'm gonna line up a couple of lives for y'all to watch, and just let y'all rock out.
1 year ago, our country was
All right,
dead.
just get the
Everybody
10K.
said it. We had a dead country.
I'm gonna put it on and go take a nap. That's how much I want to get there. Okay.
Anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to be involved, and this group has a lot to do with it. Right behind me. Does anybody behind me have anything? Pam, would you like to say something?
Sure, President. Thank you for keeping DC safe. You know, just a couple examples of a mother, a single mother.
All right, I know it then. How about that? How about I know it? How about I know we can get there?
Cashless bail, went back the next night and burglarized her house again.
No
That's
way.
why this is so important.
No
A man
way.
got in a fight with another guy. He had a gun. He was let out. Next night, he got up, went back and killed him.
No, he didn't.
So that's why it's so important, President, what you're doing. And thank you for protecting the American flag. And we'll do that without running afoul of the First Amendment as well. And President, I think I think Gabby Serralta had something he wanted to give you on behalf of all the law enforcement who are out there every single day.
Yes, thank you for putting me in charge of this surge. As the director of the United States Marshal Service, it's the oldest law enforcement agency. It was created in 1789. So law enforcement agencies that we're working with, and those that have yet to join the team. we thought it was only appropriate to present you with our honorary United States Marshal Service badge. And this badge comes with this little item right here, which is a handcuff key, Mr. President, because you continue through your policies and your efforts with your staff to unhandcuff law enforcement officers all over this nation. And I can tell you personally that they thank you for that.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
You can continue unhandcuffing law enforcement.
That's a very great honor. I'll save that and put it someplace up, which is important. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Continue unhandcuffing.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Whatever he
Well, we love
said.
those people. They're brave and they love our country and they don't want to see it. Do you know how many people volunteered for this job? And before I ask the VP to say a few words, because he feels very strongly about it, I think it's very important, Pam, that when we do this, that a state required, they come and ask us. I mean, I see Pritzker saying, we don't want them. In the meantime, a city is being shot to hell. And they do that politically. And they probably do want it. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the law enforcement people, but the sheriff said, and he came out very strongly, he said, if we didn't have these people, we were not able to control it. Now, 4 days later, after we had it totally under control, we did that quickly. He changes to a little bit, well, I think we could have done it. They were dead. If we didn't send in the troops, Los Angeles was dead, the Olympics was gone, the World Cup was gone, everything was gone. We did a great job. And Newsom, we got he's an incompetent governor. But I think people should want us to be there because otherwise all they'll do is complain as we do our job. So we'll have to think about that, okay? We go in, like in Washington, we go in and the people that are here that have been doing, I don't want to say terrible because she happens, she's a nice woman. Yes, I don't care about if she's nice, I really don't care. I want her to do, I'd rather have her be horrible but do the job. But we come into Washington and we have the 11 best days they've had here in 2 centuries. I mean, they've never seen anything like it. Let's go 2 decades. In over 20 years, they haven't seen anything like what happened. And now they're out there saying, we don't have crime in Washington. Well, that's true. For 11 days, you don't have crime. But before that, everybody was getting hit and mugged, and you people could not walk to your office without security. That's how unsafe it was. So I think we should really let them have their city, let their city go to hell, and when they come and beg us to help. The only problem is we want to save it for the people, because the people want us there. The people here, 95% of the people here want us. The real people, not the people you find. I don't know where you find these people. You have one person that has a broken nose. Where'd you get it? Well, I was mugged. Good. Do you want to see Trump here with? No, I don't want. A woman has a broken nose. She got mugged. But she's saying she doesn't want any protection. It's all made up fake news. It's just fake news. I don't know where you find these people. Anyway, would you say a couple of words, please? And then I'm going to ask JD to say something. You have done an unbelievable job in a short period of time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Highly recommended by, you know who, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to say his name?
Mr. Youngkin. Governor Youngkin. Yes, sir.
We stole you from Governor.
He called me, Glenn Youngkin called, and he said, I have somebody who's really fantastic. And based on that recommendation, here you are. You've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department are back. They enjoy doing their job again. They feel the ability to go out and be law enforcement officers. They feel that they're connected to their communities again. They are making a difference. Thanks to you, Mr. President, and our federal task force, you are making DC safe once again. Thank you, sir.
It's going to get better and better. Well, it can't get much better. There's no crime. I read where crime's down 89%. I said, really? Who are the 11%? Okay? There's no crime. Please.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks,
There's
Mr.
no
President.
crime.
Thanks to the incredible team here.
There's no
And
crime.
I was want to echo something the president said. Where
Who's
he
the
said
11%, guys? Come on.
A couple of weeks in DC.
Who's
and
the
it doesn't
11%?
sound good, but then you talk to local law enforcement, and I didn't
No
realize
crime.
that this town averaged one murder every other day for the last 20, 30 years, which means that in 2 short weeks, the president and the team have saved 6 or 7 lives, people who would have been killed on the streets of DC, who are now living, breathing, spending time with their families because the president had the willpower to say no more. We're not going to give the streets of DC over to vagrants and robbers and murderers. And the last point I want to make, sir, to your point about we want people to welcome us, to ask us, because look at Governor Pritzker in Illinois, or Governor Newsom in Los Angeles, or Governor Moore in Maryland. They are angrier about the fact that the President of the United States is offering to help them get their crime under control than they are about the fact that murderers are running roughshod over their cities and have been for decades. Why are Democrat governors angrier about federal law enforcement helping clean up their streets than they are about the fact that those streets need to be cleaned up to begin with? It shows a real sickness in the head. And I agree with the President of the United States. I think most Democrats, rank and file, nobody likes crime. Republicans don't like crime. Democrats don't like crime. Independents don't like crime. Why are Democratic governors doing everything in their power to make crime easier to do in their cities? It doesn't make an ounce of sense to me. But Mr. President, I appreciate you being willing to help. And I hope these governors take you up on the offer, because we should clean up all of America's streets. It's the right of every American to live in safety and comfort in their community.
And we've got the people to do it. They're signing up like they've never signed up before. Our military,
Yeah,
as
I
you
bet.
know,
You telling them that they
during
can
the
go out
campaign,
there and treat people like
They were
animals.
signing up. We were way short.
Why wouldn't they
short
sign
of
up?
their role, short of their, we were understaffed. Nobody wanted to be in the military. Nobody wanted to be a policeman. Nobody wanted to be a fireman. They didn't want anything to do with the country. We had an incompetent, grossly incompetent president who frankly should not have been there. He should have never been there. The damage he did to this country is incalculable. I mean, just
Say the president say we can fuck y'all up now.
getting murderers and jailbirds and people.
President say he don't mind if we fuck y'all up now.
So much of the energy of people that he let in, it was an unforced error. But I don't think they think it's an error, but I don't believe he believed it. It was the radical lunatics that surrounded this guy at this desk, who are brilliant people, but with the wrong philosophy. There were some brilliant people, but they're evil people, and they're gonna be brought down. They have to be brought down, because they really hurt our country. But we're getting it back very quickly, and I'll tell you something, our country's now it's stronger. I think we're more respected than we've been respected in 100 years. It's a whole different ballgame. JD, could I ask you,
Yes, sir.
You gave a stat on murders here. What were the numbers? You said in a short period of time, how many people were murdered?
Local law enforcement told me, sir, that in the past 20 or 30 years, DC has averaged a murder every other day. That's, 200 murders a year, 150, 250, but about every other day a person has been killed on the streets of Washington, DC. We've been doing this for 2 weeks. 0 people killed. That's real lives saved. That the media and frankly the entire Democratic Party should be saying, thank you for saving lives instead of attacking the President of the United States for doing so.
You know, when a person, unfortunately, it will probably happen at some point, when a person's murdered in DC, it's gonna be the biggest story maybe in history. Right? Somebody was murdered in DC, Trump is failing. No, we're not failing. We have a safe city. This is maybe the safest city in America right now. That's how good it is. And it would be nice to be appreciated. These people eventually, they're gonna have to be appreciated for what they're doing. And they're gonna have to be appreciated by the officials that are really happy when we go in because they've lost control of their place. Steve Miller, please, say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So just to, first of all, follow up on what the Vice President said. No police officer working in the city can remember a time in their lives when there has been no murders. You can work at the police department for 20 years, 30 years, your whole life. We've checked the records. No one can even find a record of being murder-free for as long as we've been murder-free under President Trump's leadership. Additionally, and the President spoke about this before,
Not
we've
murder-free.
uncovered in the process of uncovering
We
a
winning.
massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in this city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light. You know, I've had a chance to spend some time, as is everyone here, with the police officers in the city. Members of the public are going up to them and thanking them, just overflowing with gratitude, because for the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. People had changed their whole lives in this city for fear of being murdered, mugged, and carjacked. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs. And the last thing I'll say is that under the efforts of Terry, to my left and many here, what they found also is that the street criminals here in Washington, D.C. were doing business directly with the transnational criminal cartels, the foreign terrorist organizations. So not only was the city being run by these criminal thugs, but they were working with some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on the planet to traffic weapons and drugs into this city. And what we are uncovering every day is shocking to us, and we look forward to sharing all the results with you. But President Trump, your leadership has uncovered some of the great public safety scandals of our life, and now because of you, people are safe and free for the first time ever in this city.
Thank you very much, Steve. You know, in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills is, you know, a great place. I have a house there. I had a house there. I used to stay a lot of time, spend a lot of time there. And a great place. You know that I have friends, they leave their trunk open for their car because they don't want, they know they're going to be vandalized. They don't want the trunk ripped off in order for them to steal what's in the back. They leave the doors open so when they go in to steal the radio or whatever they take, that they don't rip off the door. They leave the doors totally open so the criminals, when they go and open the door, they have to break the windows and kill the car in order to steal whatever it is they're looking for.
In Beverly Hills, they just leave the stuff open to the criminals. Okay, well, let's all go to Beverly Hills and loot.
I have another friend, he has a garage, and in order to save his garage door, he leaves it open.
You said you done all your homework?
Yeah, I just finished math.
All right, so you about to play the game? All right, so once I get to 10K subscribers, then I'm famous, right?
You?
Yeah, if I get to 10K subscribers on YouTube.
I thought
You remember we did this on TikTok already one time.
I already thought you were famous. I never thought.
That's on TikTok. This is YouTube now. What's my number for YouTube?
Like that you have to get?
Yeah, what's my subscriber number for you to say I'm famous on YouTube?
How many do you have now?
Like 3K.
3K?
Yeah.
I mean, I would low-key say like 10K, but like I already think 3K is good, like because of the little time you've been on.
10K? Y'all hear that? 10K. Come on, we gotta get to 10K so my son can look at me as I'm famous. Come on, that's all I care about is my son looking at me as famous. Come on. If he look at me as famous, I'm good to go. Come on.
So the people can just walk into his garage, take whatever they want, and leave. But all the cars so many cars, I've been told this by many people, stars, big people, they leave their doors open so the doors aren't destroyed by these criminals. All over Los Angeles this is taking place. And you know that, I mean, you've heard that. Christy, could you say a few words?
Sure. Well, Mr. President, I think one of the most impactful.
That's all we really care about is how our kids see us, right?
1,000 arrests that have happened already so far, 439 of them were illegal criminals, which means they never should have been in this country to begin with. That they were in this country, invaded over our southern.
The world gonna see you how they want, but as long as your kids see you like a hero, you good to go.
Against the American people. So by getting those individuals incarcerated, we've stopped those violent crimes from happening here in the city. And sir, they do, exactly like Stephen was talking, they have ties to cartels. They have networks across this country and other cities. So by what you're doing here is gonna have a ripple effect in Miami, in Chicago, in other cities, because you're grabbing those networks and giving us information and targeting information to go and get more criminals across this country. So thank you for the work that you're doing. We have ICE and CBP, Federal Protective Services, Secret Service, HSI, all of our officers are working with all the other agencies every day.
He already knows I work all the time. He already knows that.
So we're so glad that you're letting them do their jobs again. And I don't know if you've heard, sir, but the recruitment campaign for ICE, when we were going to hire 10,000 new officers, we've got over 130,000 people that have applied and raised their hands and said they want to work with ICE. So no matter what the fake news says or what the media says about ICE not having support, they've got incredible support from the American people. People want to join them and help them do what they're doing to make America safe again. So thank you for that.
I was going to say that our recruitment drive, it was dead. During the campaign, they couldn't get, every story was the Army can't fill up, the Marines, none of them could fill up. They were way behind. We couldn't get anybody to go into the military, couldn't get any police. We've just set records on everybody wants to be in, everybody wants to go in. And we're taking incredible people. I mean, the level of, because of the Supreme Court, it's based on merit. It's all based on merit now. It's not based on anything else. You gotta, if you need strong people, you have to get strong people. It's all based on merit. But we're setting records in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Coast Guard. One of my favorites, because I happen to have.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? You guys think that the Trump turning our defense system into a trade, you think good thing or bad thing? Good thing or bad thing? It helps out tariff maybe, but it also puts our weapons in the hands of people that could be doing business with our enemy. Unless there's some type of clause in there that says you can't do business with nobody who plans to do harm to us or something, I don't know. But he's using our defense system to get us out of a trader's debt. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about our defense system being used to get out of a trader's debt? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Comment section, go.
Created in Space Force. We're very proud of Space Force. It's amazing what it's doing. We're leading in space now. China was killing us. Russia was beating us. China was killing us. We're now killing China. We are leading in space by a lot because of Space Force. So we're very proud. But everybody wants to go in. We went from not, and you know how bad that is for the spirit.
Country should pay for our defense help for sure.
Nobody wants to go into the military anymore. And if you're in the military, you know how deflating that is. You go to your family. Nobody wants the job that you have. Well, now it's the opposite. Everybody wants to be there. And that includes police and fire and everything else.
I mean, if we're being honest, we won't see the effects of what he did until about, 6 years from now.
You've done a good job. Thank you, sir. We stopped a lot of wars. just the presidents we're stopping up. We've stopped 7 wars, and really the number is actually 10. We're not including a couple, and we're not including in there what we did with Iran, stopping their nuclear play. They would have had within a month or two, they would have had a nice big nuclear weapon to use. That's not going to happen. That won't happen. Pete, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership, and the Defense Department is proud to be a part of this task force. Just like we have been down at the southwest border, where crossings are at 0, we've got national defense areas where we're working with Border Patrol to secure the southern border for the American people. Just like Los Angeles, where ICE officers deserve to do their job without being attacked. We're really proud to be a part of defending the nation's capital and ensuring it is safe and beautiful and working with law enforcement. And Mr. President, let me tell you, the morale of the troops, getting out there talking to them, they love this mission. They're grateful to be doing it, whether they're DC National Guard or other state National Guards. And at your direction as well, sir, it's just common sense to make sure they're armed as well. And so they were rolling out ensuring they're armed, capable of defending themselves and others if need be, supporting law enforcement, and we're proud to be there, sir.
Well, look at the mission you just accomplished with Iran. 36 hours back and forth, flawless. Every bomb hit its target. They went right down their chutes, dark at night, no moon, no nothing. Every target, every bomb went right down. They have a chute that goes right down deep into the mountain. And they shouldn't have put ventilation in, I can tell you, because we use that for our advantage. But what they did, and we had the pilots and even the people that took care of the planes, we had a whole group of people at the White House a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't realize this, but they said, we've been looking at their predecessors, and then these were the pilots. They said, we gave them beautiful medals. And I'll show you the medal. Gave them a medal just like this. See? Just like that. They were so happy. We gave a lot of them out for that. It was an incredible job. You know, we had 52 tankers. People don't realize, so that they could refuel. We had many fighter jets, F-22s, and F-35s. We had many. It was an amazing operation. It was flawless. Compare that to the operation when they went in with the helicopters crashing and everyone running around the desert and the prisoners being taken. And that was Jimmy Carter. What a horrible thing. This was the exact opposite. This was the exact opposite of what they did in leaving a very, very nice place. The Taliban runs a tough operation in Afghanistan, and I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. I was leaving, and we would have left through strength, tremendous strength. We would have kept Bagram, which is the air base, one of the largest runways in the world, one of the most powerful. You can land anything on it, many, many feet thick. You don't build them that way anymore. You can't. But we left it, and now China's occupying that air base. This was the most incompetent administration in history, the Biden administration. And you're just lucky that they lost, because if they won, you wouldn't have a country anymore. And so, Pete, you started off by saying the Department of Defense. And somehow it didn't sound good to me. You know, it didn't sound good. Defense, what are we defense? Why are we defense? So it used to be called the Department of War. And it had a stronger sound. And as you know, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything. Now we have a Department of Defense with defenders. I don't know, if you people want to, standing behind me, if you take a little vote, if you want to change it back to what it was when we used to win wars all the time, that's okay with me, all right?
That's coming.
You let me know if you want to do it. I think Department of War. It just sounded bad. He said, sir, on behalf of the Department of Defense. Defense? I don't want to be defense only. We want defense, but we want offense too, if that's okay. So you'll make a decision. But you know, as Department of War, we won everything. We won everything. And I think we're going to have to go.
This stream is about keeping up with what's going on in our world, in our nation, right? This stream is about building unity, growth, right? Once we get to 10K, we'll start holding discussions about this, right? So we'll open up the panel to hold different discussions about everything that's going on. So you need to stay informed. You know, it's better to stay informed now. That way, when the discussions start, you can at least be on point, right? Pay attention. Keep up. Keep up what's going on. The world is changing. Full disclosure.
The big one would have been India and Pakistan, but we stopped them all. We stopped 3 wars. Go to Africa. They like to say, oh, you know, okay, I love black people, and I did great with the vote with the black people, but they say he's a racist. He's a racist. I said, really? For 35 years, a war raged between Rwanda and the Republic of the Congo. And it was a vicious war. 9 million people were killed with machetes, largely. Hatchets, machetes. That went on for more than 30 years, but 34, 35 years. And I stopped it. In fact, the presidents are coming in a week or two to sign. We have the foreign ministers. It's all signed. The war stopped. But I got it stopped and saved a lot of lives. The Congo. That's deep into deepest, darkest Africa. I got that war stopped. Nobody else could have done that. We did a lot of jobs. We did a lot of wars were stopped that nobody thought would even be possible. And I'll tell you what, the war with India and Pakistan, that was the next level. That was going to be a nuclear war. They already shot down 7 jets. That was raging. And I said, you guys want to do trade? We're not doing any trade. We're not doing anything with you if you keep fighting. You got 24 hours to settle it. They said, well, there's no more war going. And I used that on numerous occasions. Trade, I used whatever you had to use. But we got 7 of them stopped. And the one I thought would be easiest, frankly, was going to be Russia and Ukraine. But that turns out to be some big personality conflicts. It's one of those things, but we're going to get that stopped eventually. We're going to get that stopped too. 7,000 soldiers died last week. Think of that, 7,000. I usually say 5,000, but 7,221 soldiers died last week in the fighting between Ukraine and Russia. And they're not our soldiers, but they're souls. They're living souls, and they leave their homes and they wave to their parents, and their parents are so proud as they leave in a beautiful uniform, and a week later they get their head blown off by a drone. New form of military. It's a whole new form of fighting. So I would just like to thank the people that are behind me. Thank you very much. You've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it very much. We're doing a real job, and I'm so proud of DC. I passed it 2 days ago, and all the garbage is off the streets. It's terrible. I came in a month and a half ago. I'm driving down and I see garbage all over the place. The streets were a pigsty. Like I won't use the city's names, but you know what I'm talking about. There are plenty of them outside of this country and inside of this country. Baltimore is a horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no, I'm the president of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you. But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. But he's trying to be derogatory. And I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you. He came over to me, hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, well, it's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly, but I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I want to just shake your hand. Thank you very much, Governor. That was it. And then every time I see him on television, he's knocking the hell out of me. So, but that's all right. That's called politics. But Governor Moore's he's doing a bad job. Newsom's doing a bad job. All of their potential candidates are doing a bad job. I can't imagine Pritzker being even a candidate, but somebody said he is. He can't do the work, he can't do the job. He's not temperamentally suited. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Do you have some questions?
Is the Pentagon, and maybe the Secretary of Defense can weigh in too, is the Pentagon preparing for military deployment to Chicago? And with what you said there, are you waiting for the government?
We're ready to go anywhere. We have a full complement of great human beings. We're full. You know, our military is full. We were way empty 1 year ago. Now we're full. So we can go anywhere on less than 24 hours notice.
Are you waiting for the government?
And we're doing a lot to interdict to stop drugs from coming in too. We have ships out on sea. You know, we have nobody coming through our border anymore. Nobody. Doesn't that feel good to know that you don't have prisoners coming in and, you know, killers, murderers? We had 11,888 murderers come in, led in by the Biden administration. Many of them have been captured, but we still have a couple of thousand that are out there. Some of them, 50% of them killed more than one person, okay? But a lot of them have been captured. What they've done to our country, these people that circle this moron that we had behind this desk, what they've done to our country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. I mean, if you think so much of our time is devoted to correcting a problem that all they had to do is say, close the borders. Remember when he said, well, I have no power to close the border. I have to go back and get an act from Congress. I didn't get an act from Congress. I came in, I said, close the borders. And Tom Homan, who's not here, has been fantastic, Christy, right? Tom Homan is great. He's a fantastic man and respected by everybody. But I said, Tom, close the borders. Christy, close the borders. The borders were closed. We didn't go to Congress and get permission. We just closed the borders. And in the last 3 months, hard to believe this one too, in the last 3 months, we've had 0 people come into our country illegally through the southern border. Nobody would have said that's possible. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, MS-13 gangbanger and human trafficker Kilmar Abrego Garcia turned himself into ICE in Baltimore. Do you have any comment on this? And why are the Democrats so emotionally attached to this man who beats his wife and is part of a terrorist organization?
Because they think he's going to be good for votes, and I think he's very bad for votes. These people are deranged. He's not good for votes. He beat the hell out of his wife. His wife is afraid to even talk about her. She's been mauled by this animal. And, you know, through a system of liberal courts, you know, he's doing things. But, no, we have that under control. And Pam has got that very much under control. Do you want to comment on it, Pam?
No.
got him under control. He will no longer terrorize our country. He's currently charged with human smuggling, including children. The guy needs to be in prison. He doesn't need to be on the streets like all these liberals want him to be. And as part of this operation here in DC, we've also taken off MS-13 members. We've taken, I think just last night, we got a TDA guy off our streets right here, right around from where we all work. Another TDA member gone because of this project. So we're gonna keep America safe from all of these foreign terrorist organizations, including Abrego Garcia.
Okay. Mr. President, if we could get your reaction, sir. The Israelis bombed a hospital in Gaza that killed 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know.
Any reaction to this? Are you
Well,
going
I'm
to
not
talk
happy
to
about it. I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out. All of them. Steve Witkoff has been amazing. He's done a great job. But I'm the one that got them all out through my people and through me. And now we're left with probably a little bit less than 20 because I think 1 or 2 are gone. And I said a long time ago, I'm going to get them out. But when we get down to that final 10 or 20, these people aren't going to release them because they're dead after they release them. So it's a nasty situation. Very nasty, horrible thing. Yes.
Could you please elaborate on your post on South Korea? What were you referring to?
Well, I heard that there were raids on churches over the last few days, very vicious raids on churches by the new government in South Korea. That they even went into our military base and got information. They probably shouldn't have done that, but I heard bad things. I don't know if it's true or not. I'll be finding out. As you know, your new president's coming in just a couple of hours, coming here. I look forward to meeting him. But we won't stand for that. We just won't stand for that.
Are you prepared to order National Guard troops, though, into American cities if those governors don't request the federal deployment?
I am, but I also think that, look, Chicago, everybody knows how bad it is. Everybody standing there knows. We know. You don't have to be doing any studies. They should be saying, please come in. Pritzker should be saying that. You know, I did a favor for Christy Whitman.
Please come in.
A good favor, I think, with the fish, the carp, the China carp. Did you ever hear of it? China carp. And it's taken over your Great Lakes. You know about that, right? And she came and she wanted to know if it's possible for us to do something about it. And I said, well, I'll do it. But I think it's appropriate that the person from Illinois, the governor from Illinois, asks also. It's a tremendously expensive project, actually. It's invasive, it's horrible what's happened, and we can do it with GSA and various people, but we can do it. We're gonna just have to see what happens, okay? We're gonna have to see what happens. But
you have the legal authority.
The governor of Michigan came, was very respectful, asked for it. She's done a good job. I did that. I opened the Air Force Base, kept it open for F-35s and various planes, F-22s too. I did that for the state of Michigan at her request. And also in our congressmen, we have congressmen that are unbelievably pro-Michigan up there. But some of this stuff, like the lakes, the Great Lakes, this is a big problem that nobody ever talks about. Most of you probably have never heard of. We have a pretty violent fish that comes from China. China carp, Chinese carp. And you see them jumping out, they jump into boats and they jump all over the place.
And they come from China.
And there's a way of getting rid of them. It's very expensive. And I didn't get a request from the governor of Illinois, who is affected maybe more than anybody else, right? And I think until I get that request from that guy, I'm not going to do anything about it. And I feel the same way about crime. We go in, we will solve Chicago within 1 week, maybe less, but within 1 week, we will have no crime in Chicago, just like we have no crime in DC. But, I don't like to go in and do it and then have somebody stand up and say what a great job he's doing on crime. And we don't want the military in our state. We don't want the military. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yeah, these governors will say.
So I don't know.
There was no emergency
We're gonna have a
response.
meeting. I think, I feel like we go in and we do it, like here. To a lesser extent with the mayor. She hasn't been
terrible, but she hasn't been, exactly saying, oh, great. She did say last night, I heard her say that, well, we really don't want the military in D.C. Well, that's, not very nice, I guess. That's a little bit of a hit, but she's not as bad as some. We saved Los Angeles, and all we did is get criticized by this idiot that's running the state into the ground, right? Where people are leaving. He should be thanking us, and he should be requesting us to be there. And the governor of Illinois should be. Chicago's a disaster. And the governor of Illinois should say, President, would you do us the honor of cleaning up our city? We need help. They need help. They need help.
So you
We may or may not. We may just go in and do it, which is probably what we should do. The problem is, it's not nice when you go in and do it and somebody else is standing there saying, as we give great results, say, we don't want the military. They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. Just look at the crime statistics. Look at the statistics that JD said about, even I didn't know it was that bad. That's terrible. But all I know is we're being celebrated because we went an entire week. Now it's 11 days. We went an entire week without a murder. And I said, boy, that sounds terrible. I didn't know how to, I actually made a speech. I didn't know how to say it because it's a great number. It's a great thing, but it sounds so bad. I mean, supposing you're from a foreign country, which is properly run and they don't have murders and things, right? So much, or in some cases, virtually at all. And you have somebody saying, I'm proud to announce that nobody was murdered in the capital of the United States this week. It sounds terrible, but.
Mr. President, Gavin Newsom, you mentioned Gavin Newsom on the
Gavin Newsom, yes.
Is there a federal mechanism you're hoping to use to fight back against his redistricting constitutional amendment, or is that?
Well, I think I'm going to be filing a lawsuit pretty soon, and I think we're going to be very successful in it. We're going to be filing it through the Department of Justice. That's going to happen. And we're also going to be filing a lawsuit on blue slipping. Blue slips make it impossible for me as president to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney because they have a gentleman's agreement. It's nothing memorialized. It's a gentleman's agreement that's about 100 years old, where if you have a president like a Republican and if you have a Democrat senator, that senator can stop you from appointing a judge or a U.S. attorney. In particular, those are the two, I guess anything, but those are the two that are very important. So we have numerous states where we have unbelievable people. Now, Jay Clayton was just approved in the Southern District, but he was so good. He was a top student, top schools, top everything, went to Sullivan and Cromwell, became the head of Sullivan and Cromwell, came down here, was Securities and Exchange Commission, ran it for 4 years during my term, impeccably, beautiful job. He did an incredible job. And we went to court, and the judges, Democrat judges, voted that he could, that's the only way you get by it. But generally speaking, you can't do that because you'll have judges from the other party. So Jay Clayton just got approved, and he's in, but he didn't get approved by the senators. He got approved by the court system in New York, which was a great thing. And I had a big victory in New York, I might add. I saved myself $500 million with a fake, corrupt attorney general, a really corrupt person with a corrupt judge who was disgraceful, and they're being mauled right now by everybody. It's so corrupt, and it kept business out of New York, stuff like that. But the appellate division vacated all of that stuff that you read about, and we're going to do a big number on that whole thing. You can't have a corrupt court system. You can't have that. You have to have borders, and you have to have a free press. Otherwise, you don't have a country. But you'll be hearing about the blue slipping, because if you have not, you don't need two senators. You just need one Democrat senator with a Republican. The only person that I can get approved are Democrats or maybe weak Republicans, but we don't want that. But the only person I will be able to get approved in any of those states where you have a Democrat I can't get a U.S. attorney. I can only get a Democrat U.S. attorney. And this is based on an old custom. It's not based on law, and I think it's unconstitutional, and I'll probably be filing a suit on that pretty soon. Yeah, please.
During the campaign, you called Kamala Harris a communist, but the Biden-Harris administration, they never called for nationalizing a private company with the federal government like you're proposing with Intel. What do you say to some who say this is a bit hypocritical? And is this the new way of doing industrial policy?
Yeah, I sure it is. I want to try and get as much as I can. If people come in and they need something, as an example, as a real estate person, if I have an agreement and I have any form of a stopgap where I can stop somebody from doing something, right? I have a covenant in an agreement, and they come to me and they say, would like to do something, but you have us restricted. If I do that, they usually have to pay. Now, in the case of Intel, it was interesting, but I hope I'm gonna have many more cases like it. Intel came in, I met with a gentleman I had a lot of respect for. We came in under a little bit of a cloud. I liked his story. I thought he was good. I think he really means to do a good job with Intel. I said, I'd like to ask whether or not you give, because a lot of people said I invested in Intel. I didn't invest, but I invest my heart in it and my soul because I want the country to be strong. But I said, I'd like you to give 10% of Intel to the United States of America. Not to me, to the United States of America. And I said, if you have them as a partner, you have the United States as a partner, I think that would be a very good thing for Intel. And he thought about it, a little bit different, and he said, I like that idea very much. We have a deal. And I just paid $10 billion or $11 billion for the United States of America. And yeah, there will be other cases. If I have that opportunity again, I would do that. And then, you do have stupid people say, oh, that's a shame. But it's not a shame. It's called business. If somebody's willing to give you 10% of a company and you're not paying for it, and I will tell you, with a company like Intel, as you know, it's had difficulty. I want them to do well. I want them to do well anyway, but I want them to do well in particular now.
But isn't public ownership of a private company a new way of doing business in the business of the United States? Isn't that what you were sort of projecting?
So are tariffs. So, as you know, the stock market went up almost 1,000 points on Friday. And it went up not because of this very, I think, terrible, hello, who is that back there? All right, get out of the room. It went up because of something much different. It went up because it was announced, CBO announced the numbers, and as you know, they gave no credit to tariffs. They said they made a mistake, that the trade deficit will be reduced because of Trump's tariffs, will be reduced by $4 trillion, right? Is that what they said, right? They said $4 trillion, and the market went up like a rocket ship because the tariffs are good. Well, tariffs
Hit that like button, double tap that like button.
The 7 wars I stopped, 4 of them were because of the fact that I had tariffs and trade.
You got
And I was able
16.
to say, well, if you do this,
16 more minutes, 16 more minutes. Subscribe to the page.
but I'm going to
Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We need 300 likes.
They all gave up. I stopped 7 wars.
15 more minutes, 300 likes. The live's gonna end.
You never knew the word tariff. It didn't exist really essentially.
We can't get the 300 likes.
Actually, in the 1870s up till 1913 it existed, and we were the richest country. We were richer then, proportionately, than at any time in the history of our country.
Yes, this is live right now.
Stupidly, in 1913, they said, let's go to the income tax.
See, we're live.
The people pay instead of foreign
You're in
countries.
here,
Now,
I'm in here, I'm
We're
live.
taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs, and we're stopping wars because of tariffs. So that's not so normal either. But you know what? Other countries did it to us, and now we're doing it to other countries.
You ruled out boots on the ground in Ukraine, but how would air support as part of a security guarantee be any different? Those U.S.
Well, you really went from one question to the next. I expected him at least challenge you. Now we're talking about boots on the ground.
But U.S. air assets over the skies of Ukraine is part of a security guarantee. Would those U.S. airmen also be?
Well, you don't know what security guarantee is because we haven't even discussed the specifics of it, and we'll see. Number one, Europe is going to give them significant security guarantees, and they should because they're right there. But we'll be involved from the standpoint of backup. We're going to help them, and I think if we get a deal, and I think we will, but if we get a deal, you're not going to. I don't believe you're going to have much of a problem. but we'll back it up because I want to stop seeing people being killed. You know, when Biden was here, he gave $350 billion. You know this from covering business. $350 billion to Ukraine. I said that Zelensky's the greatest salesman I think I've ever met, better than P.T. Barnum, because he'd come to the country, he'd walk out with $50 billion every time. He actually came here once, he walked out with $100 billion. We're up to $350 billion. I got $1 trillion worth of rare earth that we have for the country because I felt badly for
Hit that like button.
I did something else at the NATO meeting.
Subscribe to the page.
They are wealthy countries, but they weren't paying. And we don't pay any money to Ukraine anymore. Do you know that? In fact, it's the opposite. They request through NATO, we deal with NATO. We don't deal really with Ukraine. NATO requests missiles. They want Patriots, they want missiles. We give the missiles to NATO. NATO pays us in full and does what they want. I mean, I think they give them mostly they can do other things with them too, because we're dealing with NATO. We pay no money to Ukraine. We gave $350 billion to Ukraine. You know, if we didn't give that kind of money, and I was the one that gave the javelins, if you remember. I gave the javelins, they were very effective.
He gave the javelins.
They say Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. They were very effective with those tanks right at the beginning. But you would have never had a war if I were president. You would have never had a war. Just to finish, we spend no money on Ukraine anymore. We were getting fleeced by a president that didn't know what he was doing. To be honest, I don't blame Ukraine. I mean, if they come and ask for $100 billion, then they get it. But we were in for $350 billion. Now, we make money. I don't want to make money on Ukraine. I want the war to end because I want to save all those lives. I want to just say, but just so you understand, we're no longer losing money on that thing. We were losing money hand over fist. And now we don't lose any money. Now we sell weapons to NATO. Because NATO agreed, because of me, to go to 5%. They had 2% and didn't pay. Now they have 5% and they're all paid up. So they have trillions of dollars and they give us that money. But I really want the war to end, and we're going to get it ended.
Mr. President, this is a historic summit here with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders all met here with you at the White House. You said you wanted to get this done bilateral as soon as possible. Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation? Or can you share?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation, and then unfortunately a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace, and then I get very angry about it. I think we're going to get the war done. It's tough. I thought that would be, of the 7 that I settled, I thought that would be the easiest of the group. See, you never know what's going to happen. You know, war, strange things happen in war. The fact that he went to Alaska, our country, I think was a big statement that he wants to get it done. That was not easy for him to go to Alaska, you know, for him to come here. But the fact that he showed up on a very successful, that was a very successful day for other things. Because, you know, we're also talking about missiles, nuclear. We're talking about a lot of different things. We're talking about limiting nuclear weapons. We'll get China into that. We have the most. Russia has the second most, and China has third, but China is way behind, but they'll catch us in 5 years. We would like to denuclearize. It's too much power, and we talked about that also. That's part of it, but we have to get the war over with.
All right, we couldn't reach the number of likes that we needed to keep the live going. So love is love. Namaste, ashe, salutations. I hope you guys are keeping up on everything that's going on in news and around the world, right? We appreciate everybody that stopped through. Replay gang, do your thing, right? We wanted to get some subs. Hopefully we got over 100 subs, right? And if not, that's fine. We just want to keep on bringing you guys the news and keep on, you know, keeping you informed when we do start our talks about this. We do have a live coming up. I'm trying to set it up now, get in touch with some friends of mine and have a good live set up, you know, regarding Zachariah Stitch and some biblical talk and so on and so forth. So make sure you guys subscribe to the page. And look, if nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first but not the last to tell you that I love you. And remember, one's image of oneself should be greater than reality. And, you know, Good vibes. All right? Good vibes. Your brains are what? Love is love, man. Y'all have a great one. Y'all have a great one. Replay gang, do your thing. Replay gang, do your thing. Love is love. Namaste, Ashe, salutation, salam. Look, you know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all subscribe to the page. Subscribe to the page. Subscribe to the page. Good vibes only. Good vibes only. All right? If you ain't operating on good vibes, we don't want you. We don't want you. We want good vibes only. 7, you got to sign in to your student thing. And you got to sign into your student thing and sign some papers. I thought you was going to ask your teacher how to do it already.
I know, I keep forgetting.
Oh. Also, for the Soul Sparks, if you get a chance to get around to it, I know you've been busy, but if you jump onto the clothing store, if you can make a Halloween shirt for Trump, we're gonna do Trump or treat for the Democrats, and we're gonna do Trump's your treat for the Republicans, okay? So we want 2 different types of shirts out there. One say Trump or treat, right? And then the other one says Trump's your treat. I'll text it to you. So that way if you get a chance, you could probably get that started. Something like that. Hey, look, love is love. Namaste, Ashe, salutation, shalom. Let's see. Hey, replay game, man. Do y'all thing. Also, man, we trying to get in touch with Lids so we can get sponsored by Lids for the hats and stuff. Rarely you can find a hat in size 8 since we do wear a size 8, right? So we trying to get sponsored by Lids. All right, so, you know, make sure y'all put Lids in the comment section. So y'all put Lids in the comment section, all right?